It's WFUV New York, public media from Fordham University. Come for the music, stay for the community. Listen at 90.7 FM or at WFUV.org.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome into One on One, New York's longest-running sports call-in show. I am your host, Derek Beaulieu, joined today by Ethan Bess and Sam Giangrande, on this somewhat dreary, kind of rainy, interesting Bronx Saturday. It's interesting. But a special thank you as well to Emma Leonardi and Grace McCarron behind the boards and producing for us today, making us sound good. If you want to call in at any point today, the number is 718-817-2750. Again, it's 718-817-2750. We've got a wonderful show for you guys today. It's going to be a lot of fun. We got a lot of different stuff we're going to be talking about, a lot of different sports in the city and outside the city, some international stuff as well. But before we get any further into that, how are we feeling today, guys?
I mean, to be honest, everything is going well with myself. I still have one more exam that I need to do on Monday, and then after that, I'll have all my stuff packed and I'll be able to move out. But outside of that, everything's going well.
We were just saying this. I'm not trying to flex. I finished my last final on Tuesday. I had 2 on Monday, 1 on Tuesday, and I moved down on Friday. So, but I also live so close to here. So, but oh my god, having a early final schedule, that's the best blessing you can get.
Must sound great.
As a communications major, normally I have multiple exams that are essays. Like English class, I have an essay, or like a random class that have essays, and I could either do them early or I would never do that. I would do them late. This year, I have 5 classes. All 5 of them I take in-person finals. I had to do the makeup for my French final, so I had 1 on last Monday, 2 on Wednesday, 1 on Thursday, and I have another 1 on Monday. So it's all back to back to back, and it's I'm done.
Must sound rough.
So I have to take my final, and the problem is a lot of them are early. My 1 on Thursday was 9:30. My 1 on Monday is 9:30. So I have to wake up at 8, go to my final at 9:30, pack up all my stuff, and then the people that I'm getting to pick up my stuff and put it in storage and stuff, because I live in South Carolina, they're coming anywhere from 2 to 6 p.m. So by my luck, they're gonna come at 2.
Any point in the day.
I mean, I could have paid more to have it as more specific time, but
if
I'm
they say
broke.
2 to 6, it's probably gonna come at 6. If they give such a late ladder option, it would probably be then.
And I ordered my boxes, and they never shipped them, so I had to contact them oh yeah, we just didn't do it. So they shipped them today. So I got my boxes. Don't worry. And then I'm hey, I know that it says 2 to 6. Is there any way, do you know when you normally come? Is there any way you could give me any kind of range? And they're no, it could be 2, it could be 6. I'm I mean, that's so helpful.
Just guess.
But we'll get moved out. We'll leave eventually, and then I'm gonna stick in the city a little, do my soccer internship that I have.
Gotcha.
We'll
Where?
The Central Park Rangers.
Yeah, I did see that on my
I do their
scroll
broadcast.
LinkedIn.
I'm doing one tomorrow.
That's really cool.
I have to go to the Lower East Side at 8 a.m.
That's really cool though.
Which is fine, but I have to wake up at 6.
Yeah.
So,
but I mean,
sucks.
I know.
The grind.
I hate waking up early though. Is the problem.
I think
Even
anyone does.
My dad wakes up at 5 a.m. willingly.
Never.
I don't get it.
There just has to be sunlight, and then I'm fine. Even if it's a little amount, once there's a bit of light, I'm fine with waking up.
No, I gotta go to bed at 1 and wake up at 10.
I mean, listen, bro. Before I transferred here at my old community college back in Texas, during the spring 2024 semester, I had a lab that I had to do for science at 8 a.m. on Wednesdays. So I had to wake up at about 5, and then I had to get in the car about 6, and then I had to be at the lab at 8. After that semester concluded, I said never again.
Yeah,
Never.
I had a biology lab for this semester. You guys know where the Calder Center is, the Fordham campus that's upstate, kind of in Westchester?
On Westchester, yeah.
I had to wake up at 8 to go all the way there, and it's an hour drive, and then do the lab and walk out in the woods for 3 hours, and then come back.
I
smelled so bad. It was
that's just straight up torture.
That is torture.
It's the woods, and it had just started getting hot in New York.
No,
so it was it was horrible. It was fun, a little bit.
Probably smelled very funky.
Yeah.
It did, and it was
fun for one time, and then everything after is just please stop.
And people research students stay there over the summer or for a whole semester.
I don't know how.
No, thank you.
I passed by the campus once, and there's nothing there.
It's very empty.
Yeah, it's not upstate New York. Like
It's not quite update, but it's
you're
not.
getting there.
It's not the city either. It's like
It's
the weird
very,
middle ground that's like nothing.
Like just
Yeah.
like the flat plains of New York.
Exactly. So, enough of random yapping. We have a show for you guys.
Trust
yeah,
there is
we'll get
sports
into it.
today.
We'll get into it. It is still a sports show. We've been talking about our lives, but it is still a sports show. We're gonna cover obviously our hometown Mets and the Yankees. The Yankees have been playing well. The Mets have not. No, sorry, Ethan.
It's just
Then
the easiest way to say it.
we'll do a little more about the MLB. The Cubs are on a big winning streak. The Braves have weirdly been the best team in baseball. The Dodgers are playing like the Dodgers. I mean,
It's no other
they're-
way to put it.
yeah, they're just the Dodgers. I mean, Kyle Tucker's kind of stank, but he has his struggles. But then we'll get into obviously the NBA playoffs. The Knicks now they're up 3-0 on the Sixers. They're looking to sweep. Everyone's chanting Knicks in 4. We've got an interview for you from our very own Sam Giangrande. Then we were gonna also with the NBA and the NHL playoffs all going on at once, so we'll cover that as well. A little World Cup preview, and then we've got a game for you to round it out. But before we get into any of that, our very own Fordham softball team, they're going to be playing in the the A10 finals at 1 p.m. today. They're going to be playing Loyola Chicago, which is the number 1 seeded team, which they already beat earlier in the tournament. They started out on Wednesday. They beat St. Joe's 7-3. They then mercied the same Loyola Chicago 13-5 in 5 innings, and then they beat Dayton in the semifinals 4-1 to get to the finals. So I'm assuming the tournament is like a winners-losers bracket. So I guess Loyola
Probably
Chicago.
Something of that nature.
I think it was Loyola Chicago St. Joe's that played in the semifinals. I guess they were both in the losers bracket thanks to Fordham, and then Loyola Chicago comes out of it. So I'm not sure how the tournament's going to work from here. I mean, I would assume it's just a 1 game. Maybe Loyola Chicago has to win twice because they're losers bracket. I don't know. I'm not sure. Every tournament's different. But Fordham, I mean, they've been playing really well. They played really well to end the season. They had series against the same St. Joe's and Loyola Chicago. They won both of those series. So, I mean, they've been playing really, really good softball. They weren't quite like the top seeds, but really like the 3 to like the 7 seed were all really close in the A10. It was really weird. Just Loyola Chicago was at the top, which I really thought, they were going to run away with it. But Fordham beating them in that series and then mercying them in the championship series or like in the tournament. I mean, Fordham, very good shot at another championship. They've got all their championships on the wall at Bohoshi Field, so I'm looking forward to it. Well, it'll start during the show. It'll end afterwards, so we won't have a result for you
get
guys.
reactions.
No, but
It always like
Crazy.
gets me nervous when you beat a team earlier when it's not like a final, because then like it's always that weird like, oh, if we play the same, like we'll do it, but then like the other
Yeah.
team also like learns like how you play, like what you could do to beat them. I don't know, it's always like so nervous, like because if you go against them and you lose, it's like, oh, why can't we just do that like how we did the first time?
yeah, which the thing that's worrying me is, well, Fordham's now they're gonna play their 4th game in a row. They had Holly Beeman toss a complete game against Dayton, and then their 1-2 punch of Holly Beeman. Obviously, she's not gonna at least start. I mean, everyone's probably available. It's the championship. But Olivia Simcoe, their other really like ace pitcher, pitched against Loyola Chicago already in the 2nd game that they played in the championship. So I don't know how, like, if they pitch her again, I don't know how, like, it's going to be. I know typically in baseball and softball, seeing the same pitcher close to, like, back-to-back somewhat
Sounds
can
wild.
really affect. So, I mean, Fordham already put up 13 runs in their first matchup, so we'll see what they can do in their second matchup. But, I mean, I'm excited to see, and I would love for a Fordham team to win a championship. We don't get a lot of these
Very
around here.
rare.
We don't get a lot of them
Yeah.
around here.
The tennis team went to the.
They did.
They did, yeah.
Who did they lose to?
Wow, my blank was it George Mason?
Was it?
I think it was George Mason. It's either that or, yeah, I think it was George Mason. I can picture yellow and like green in the logo.
Just keep talking for like 10 seconds.
I'm gonna take a guess. It was George Mason. Our very own Joe Henry was reacting to it live while I was doing something with him. I had no idea what was going on. It just seemed like looking at his like laptop was just literally just the box score. He's like, "Oh no!" I'm like, "Wait, what's going on?" It's like yeah, the tennis team, they're in like A10 final right now. But I think it was George Mason. I very want to take that guess, but
It was VCU.
oh, I always mix them up. It's just because of the yellow. Darn it.
It was VCU over Fordham for women's, and then the men's was the 5 seed Spiders, the Richmonds.
really?
They beat Dayton. So
I always mix up VCU and George Mason because they're both yellow.
I think VCU and Fordham had already. I remember reading a story. They had played twice before in championships, and they split that.
Really?
So it was it was very even. VCU also won the championship last year, so I guess they're just used to it.
Well,
but
this is the final team. This is the final Fordham team this sports year that can make it to a championship at this point.
Yeah, because softball they're in it now, and we have baseball still. Baseball, I think their championship is very soon. I think they're just ending their regular season now, but.
Down in the final 2.
Hopefully we can get some championships at Fordham, but we'll be right back. We're going to talk Mets and Yankees right after this.
I'm Kurt Sippel, telling you to tune into One on One, New York's longest-running sports call-in show. Catch us live every Saturday on our WFUV Sports YouTube Live from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., and later on 90.7 WFUV from 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. We break down the week's latest headlines with our collection of tri-state area beat reporters, along with interviews with your favorite athletes and media personalities. WFUV is your home to talk all things New York sports.
Welcome back, everybody, to One on One. Again, if you do want to call in, it's 718-817-2750. Feel free to yell at Sam and Ethan as much as you want about their agonizingly bad takes. Ethan,
I think mine are pretty
well.
fair.
I had Pick and Pod yesterday, the NBA broadcast with Ethan, and he thought that the Timberwolves were going to beat the Spurs in their series,
In the
and then
second
Wemby
round,
dropped
yes.
38 on Ant. So
I think it's pretty respectable if someone yells at Ethan then.
I don't know.
But me, I think I have pretty fair
We
sports takes.
we cannot yell at Sam.
I mean,
Sam's
I've had people yell at me for a lot of different takes across many different spectrums. So to be honest, it doesn't matter to me.
nearly jumped across
Not a
the table
big
when he said it,
shocker.
to be honest. Okay. We'll get into Mets and Yankees. We want to really highlight the teams of New York, of course, and I think we should start on a high note with the Yankees because they've been playing very, very well. Which I don't know exactly how long their like streak of long winning. I think they've won like 17 of their last 20 or something in that spectrum, which
That's wild.
is very good, but painfully they're either tied or only one or half a game ahead of the Rays because the Rays have like yet to lose this month because they've been playing really, really well. Judge looks like an MVP candidate. Ben Rice looks like an MVP candidate, although he missed like 5 or 4 games with a thumb thing because there was a pickoff move for Max Fried, and he went to grab it, and he kind of jammed his thumb. So he missed some games, but the Yankees played well without him, but they did just lose their first game in Milwaukee because Mizorowski throws 103.
Yeah.
And, I mean, if you, like, watch his first inning, he needed 10 pitches to get Grisham, struck out Grisham on 3 pitches, struck out Rice on 3 pitches, and then got Judge to fly out.
Yeah, and like the vast majority of those balls were thrown at like over 102 miles an hour.
It, like, genuinely, like, I think I saw on Instagram, he threw the 5 fastest pitches ever by a starting pitcher all in the same inning.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
Like,
How do you
That's
even react
gotta
to something?
hurt your arm.
Yeah.
It just has to.
How do you even react to something going like 100 miles per hour at you?
you
You
kind of
don't.
just,
Yeah, you
like,
can't.
you kind of
You
just
don't. You
just
just let it go by.
You just swing and hope you make contact. Like, genuinely, I don't
But
know.
just like imagine like the vibrations coming off the bat, like going.
If
to
you
your
hit it
arm,
wrong
yeah.
at all, if you're even a little bit off the barrel, your hands are done.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
literally, like your like hands are gonna be like in shock. Like you can't even like react to that.
I've like taken like quote unquote batting practice. I want to say very quote unquote because I'm not good at baseball whatsoever and I have not played in any form at all. But like even when I hit it off the bat, very slow pitch, like
No, literally
batting
same.
practice,
It's
it
like
hurts.
you
and,
get
like-
that shock feeling.
Yeah.
Like 103 with a wooden bat off the end of the bat, I think I would just leave. Like I think I'd quit right there. I
Kind of fake an
wouldn't.
injury at that point.
Literally.
like, pull a hamstring.
But regardless, Yankees have been playing well. Judge is Cody Bellinger, has been red hot as of late. He has I don't know if his hitting streak ended yesterday. I really didn't have the time to watch the game yesterday, but a very good hitting streak for him. It could be 8 or 9 games at this point if it didn't end, but he's looked very good with his signing at the beginning of the year. Judge has almost more home runs than Bo Bichette has RBIs for the Mets. Bo Bichette has 16 RBIs. Judge has 15 home runs. Interesting little stat there, but
Nice.
yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome, Ethan. But the Yankees have been playing very, very well, and I'm very happy where they are at this moment. Of course, as a Yankee fan,
I think at this point, like, it's always with baseball. It's even though like the game, like the season's really early on. Like, you never know what could happen. Like, look at the Mets last year, but I think with the Yankees now, like, even with like, if they lose one or like maybe have one bad game, the whole fan base just doesn't turn on them like another New York franchise. But but I think that's like really important though. Like, you have to realize like players are human at the end of the day. Like, if they see like their whole fan base turn on them after like 1-2 bad games, it really does like affect how they do play. So like, I think even like with a loss, like this fan base has been like handling like this team really well. And I think like there's so much like psychology that goes into sports is like really important. But
absolutely,
Yeah.
Which
I
is, like,
mean,
that's like a whole class you have to learn. But
literally.
I mean, literally, I think that, to talk about something you were saying about that Yankee fans don't necessarily turn on their team unless, like, something bad happens. I've seen Yankee fans turn on Yankee players and teams in the past for much, much less. I mean, one of the best examples I could give was something with Anthony Volpe.
Anthony Volpe literally doing anything.
Yeah, Anthony Volpe literally doing anything, and they're like showering him with booze. In some ways, the Yankee fan base is probably the harshest, not just in Major League Baseball, but in like the entire, probably all of sports, like any sport
it's
you
very
can
much up
name.
there.
I mean, they are literally like, for lack of a better term, like baseball nationalists. And to be honest, and so when someone says like, Yankee fans are like, not strawmanning you in any way, but when someone says like Yankee fans, like it takes a lot to get them mad, I was like, okay, I could pull up a bunch of case studies where they've gotten mad for a lot less.
Yeah. Which, speaking of Anthony Volpe, he has been held in the minors. He just finished his rehab a couple days ago, but with Jose Caballero playing so well at short, good defensively and offensively, especially when he heard Volpe was going to come back up, and he was like, "Oh no, I gotta lock in, gotta keep my spot." So, I mean, he's a very good player, but I don't know if I love the move, because as someone who has been back and forth as an Anthony Volpe defender and somewhat of a antagonizer, I think Caballero, to explain it this way, I think Caballero's ceiling is much lower than Volpe's, but I think his floor is much higher. I think
I'm trying to picture that in my head. Like,
I think
as the
Caballero is
metaphor.
much more stable, and I think you can
Yeah.
expect kind of what you're gonna get from him. But Volpe can either be
He has those peaks, but it can be very low.
he
as
has very
well.
high peaks, but he's very, very low valleys,
Yeah.
both offensively and defensively, which was weird because his first 2 seasons were excellent defensively. He won a Gold Glove his first year, and then last year, I mean, it must have just been a shoulder issue, like it just must have been. The Guardians just acquired Patrick Bailey.
Okay.
Sorry, like I just got the notification.
You're good. You're good.
Just
What
got the live transfer news.
Literally, like, what? Why would you trade Patrick Bailey? Patrick Bailey is like the best defensive player in all of baseball, and he has been for multiple years for the Giants. He's the best defensive catcher. And, I mean, Bo Naylor, is he that bad on the Guardians?
I mean,
Sorry, I don't, like...
I mean, to be honest, I have not watched a single Guardians game. I haven't seen a single Guardians highlight for this season, so
They've been playing very mediocre.
I can't really speak on how the Guardians are doing, but I have not seen much from Bo Naylor. I will say I have not.
He's not very good. But Patrick Bailey isn't also known for his offense either. So I don't know. It's by the way, the Giants get the number 29 draft in 2026. So they traded a first round pick for Patrick Bailey,
Wow.
which
Trying to move the chains, I guess.
It's a very interesting. We're in May. That's like at the beginning of May too. That like threw me off entirely. Like
And
I'm
then
lost now.
Yeah, and then MLB draft usually happens in like July, right?
Yeah. So it's
Yeah.
like it's a 2026 pick, so it's very prevalent.
Right.
That's so interesting.
It's very
It's
interesting.
very rare you guys see like a live anyone gets to react to a live transfer
Yeah.
like on the show.
Well, it's like I mean, if it was like the trade deadline, like it was the trade deadline show, that'd make more sense. But like it's
Right.
literally
Just a
like
random day.
Just a random day in
Yeah.
May.
it's May 9th, like not even close to. Okay, anyway, circle back. We're back on the Yankees again. We're back on the Yankees. The main staple of the Yankees so far, their offense has been good at times, but their pitching has been really
Amazing.
really amazing. Other than, I mean, if you take out Max Fried, his just last start where he allowed some runs, he has been pitching really, really well. His ERA is now up to 2.9. It was much lower before his last start because he allowed, I think, like 5 runs.
Oof.
But Cam Schlittler has been dominant. He throws 90% fastballs, and he is super dominant, 1.5 ERA. Will Warren, again, his last start was a little shaky, but he leads the team in strikeouts, and he's like developed really, really well. Ryan Weathers, off-season acquisition, he hasn't turned out. He's the 4th best starter in that rotation, and his ERA is just above 3. It's 3.03. So even though he hasn't necessarily been as dominant, especially at the start of the season, he was a little shaky, but as of recently, he's been a much better. And then really the only hole in the pitching, at least the starting rotation, has been the 5 spot because they really haven't figured it out yet. Luis Gil has started some games, but he struggled. Elmo Rodriguez made his debut, and he was shaky in both of his starts. So, I mean, there's been some injuries that they've had to deal with, but Rodon is going to be pitching tomorrow. He's going to make his season debut in Milwaukee. We'll see how he does.
Okay.
Garrett Cole, who people have been making fun of because he put on some weight apparently, will be back soon as well. But on the injury side, Jason Dominguez also recently got hurt. I don't know if anyone saw the play.
I did not.
It was
I
the
didn't
first
see it,
inning
no.
yesterday. Was it yesterday? No, the day before. Sorry, yesterday was Milwaukee. The day before, it was in Yankee Stadium. It was literally like the first play of the game, and it was a fly ball to left, and he made the catch, but he slammed his head into the wall.
Oh,
So he's on concussion
jeez.
protocol. I think they ruled that he didn't have a concussion, but he had some kind of strain, and he'll be out for a while. So that prompted the move of bringing up Spencer Jones. So Spencer Jones makes his debut for the Yankees yesterday. Doesn't get a hit. He went 0 for 2, but he did walk. But to be fair, I think the Yankees only had 4 hits the whole game. So I can't really put the blame on him or like say that he played particularly bad. There wasn't much offense to go around for the Yankees. But how do we feel about Spencer Jones getting called up?
I mean, to be honest, it's I would say it's a good bring up. It gives Spencer Jones a chance to prove his worth. It gives the Yankees a good outfielder, but, it is early. The MLB season is 162 games. He has many instances where he cannot look so good and then look great another day. So, in essence, I would say that this particular call-up for the Yankees is a good thing, but you just have to let it play out.
It's like one of those utilities type situations. You know what I mean? Like kind of just like you're the player. Like if we need you, go in there. Like you have a good game, you have a bad game. Like unless you have a phenomenal game, it actually gets you like constantly in the team. But
Something of that nature.
it's just being like FUV, a glue person, a glue guy. Like you're doing your
Shout out
part,
Kurt Sippel.
Yeah,
the
shout
first
out Kurt
person you think
Sippel.
of.
But I mean, it's kind of this next man up mentality that the Yankees haven't had in a while. There was a couple years, it was like from 2017 to 2020, I want to say, somewhere in that range where it was just constantly like they were going through young players over and over and over. That's where guys were like, Aaron Judge and Tyler Austin made their debut very similarly. They hit back-to-back home runs for their first home runs of their career. Gary Sanchez was a guy that was called up in that kind of era, the 2016 and 2019 kind of era, where they were just always, it was next man up constantly, because they were dealing with a lot of injuries. And I think we're going to see that a little more. And it just sucks to see Jason Dominguez. He just started getting hot, and he's made his debut, and his first at-bat ever, he had a home run off Justin Verlander. Wow. And then he gets hurt, and they hurt for the rest of the season.
I mean,
and then,
listen, man, sometimes your farm can save you.
Absolutely. But, I mean, it just sucks to have to go through that for him and keep having to dig deeper into that for him because of injuries.
Yeah.
If it was someone, not particularly playing well or you like a different matchup, that's fine. But it sucks to see, especially Jason Dominguez, he's been really unlucky recently with his injuries. And even last year he wasn't an everyday player, which I think he should have been. But
Fair enough.
But moving on to the Mets side of New York, the Queens side.
The other New York team.
The Mets are currently last in the NL East behind teams like the Phillies and the Nationals and the Marlins.
Yes.
And obviously the Braves
who are at
but
the
actually
top.
they no longer have the best record in baseball. It's the Cubs now. But they had it for like the whole season.
Yeah.
But the Mets are 15-23. They're just not playing well.
Not at all. I think with respect to the New York Mets, a team I am a fan of, they have not recovered ever since they went on that 12-game skid. Ever since they went on that 12-game skid where they lost like 12 in a row after starting 7-4, they have not been the same. I mean, and in essence, I saw a post from, I want to say, MLB that said at one point, like, it was sometime when they had like a 9-19 record. If you flip the script just last year at the same time, they were 19-9. Literally a full-on reversal from what they were last year. So, and in essence, that 12-game skid really did a lot of damage. I mean, of course, one would say it's still early in the season, but there is a good reason to panic right now.
Yeah, they're playing better as of late. Like you said, they lost that 12 in a row. They did win a series against Minnesota to end that losing streak. Then they proceeded to get swept by Colorado. And then they lost a series to the Nationals. Then they went on to win back-to-back series against the Angels, and then 3 out of 4 against Colorado. Or excuse me, 2 out of 3 against Colorado. And they just also won against Arizona. So they're winning a little more. They're playing a little better. They're putting up a little more offense. They put up 10 runs in Colorado, but again, that's also in Colorado. So
Yeah.
that might have a little to do with it. But it's really been the offensive, it's kind of like if the offense is clicking, the pitching isn't. And if the pitching isn't clicking, or the pitching is clicking, then the offense isn't. It's like literally, it's one or the other.
Yeah.
And I think it's more so the offense.
Yeah. I mean, I saw a stat where, Soto's batting, he's doing his thing. Like, he's showing up for the most part. But the next person, I believe, that is second in terms of batting average for the New York Mets is Bo Bichette at, I think, like 227 or something like that. Someone can fact check me.
So Juan Soto technically isn't qualified because he missed time for injury, but he is batting 282.
Okay.
Bo Bichette is batting 231.
Jesus.
Francisco Alvarez is the highest qualified hitter by batting average, and he's batting 243.
Jeez.
So, I mean, there's a lot of players, Bo Bichette will not play like this the whole year. He's going to get better. Marcus Semien, I think, will get better. But then there's also guys that are getting a lot of playing time, like Carson Benge and Brett Beatty, that are just getting too much playing time. And then Luis Robert had a really good start to the season, or Robert, and he has fallen off a cliff. Francisco Lindor has not been himself.
Not at all.
Mark Vientos hasn't been himself since the OMG Mets.
He has not. I mean, the OMG Mets, that was probably the best time to be a Mets fan.
Oh, easily.
Yeah, but
it's interesting how the Mets go from this party animal style, random players kind of making big contributions, having good seasons, to let's take that team, spend a crap load of money, and add really good players, and then they get worse doing that.
I mean, in some ways, there's a philosophy out there that says, you can't spend your way to a championship, and in some ways, that is true.
Unless you're the
Steve
Dodgers.
Cohen, yeah, unless you're the Dodgers. Steve Cohen is worth $22 billion. He has the money to get whoever he pleases, no doubt. But when you put players together and they don't necessarily perform to the degree that the fans want them to.
I don't have that
Steve
chemistry together.
Yeah, Steve Cohen could, bring in all these great players, but they have to perform on themselves. And to be honest, I don't think Steve was lying when he either said that in a press conference or tweeted that. I'm not sure, but it was one of the two.
Yeah, I mean, I've said this before on a different show, but I think I did a Nosebleeds episode recently. The issue the thing that's going to solve, or at least start working for the Mets, is they need to solve the clubhouse issues, because it seems like there's just issues where guys
Not to cut you off, but I think what they need is what Francisco Lindor did in the 2024 Major League Baseball season, and just call like a team house meeting. After that house meeting, they went like 67-40 for the rest of the season.
He did that earlier this season, and it did not work.
Bruh.
So, I mean, you could be right. Maybe they do need another meeting like that, but I think the clubhouse issues need to get solved before anything really
It's a
happens.
very similar situation, not to go into a different sport, but a very, very similar situation what's going on with Real Madrid right now, where the locker rooms and like players are literally getting into like brawls. Like one of them got sent to the hospital because of it. Like they have no control over like what's going on like in the locker room, like between players. Like the players don't respect the manager. And my dad always says this, and he's not even the biggest baseball person, but he'll always say the Yankees have won so much because of how well managed it is. And I think that's kind of where the Mets are. Like if you have a not well managed team and you just think by like spending money, it equates to like winning, or players like will just magically perform together just because they're good. Like you can't put all your best players in the same team, or it's like they're just not all gonna compete together. Like people have different play styles, they have different ways of how they play. You can't just put like a super team together and just be like, oh, they're gonna win because they're worth the most.
Yeah, and exactly. And if you look at the top 10 teams with the highest payroll, you'll see teams like the Dodgers and the Yankees that are playing well, and then you'll see teams like the Mets who aren't playing well. The Blue Jays, I think, have the 4th highest payroll. They're not having they made the World Series last year, but they're not having a good start this year.
They're up and down.
They're very up and down. And there's the Phillies have a very high payroll. They're also getting very old, so that also could be it. But they're not playing well to start the season. They're playing a little better, just like the Mets. They're playing a little better now. But
hey, like Aaliyah said, age ain't nothing but a number. They could always rebound.
I mean, it's always possible, and we're only 40 games in,
something like that.
The Yankees they're gonna play their 40th today,
Gotcha.
So, and there's still 120 more games. So
yeah,
we'll have to see what happens. But
Anything could happen.
But I think we're gonna take a trip to Chicago, maybe talk about the Cubs. We're done with Mets and Yankees. We'll go to the rest of the MLB, and we'll be right back right after this.
Hello everyone, I'm Trey Rodriguez, calling you to tune in to WFUV Sports One-on-One, New York's longest running sports call-in show. We're live every Saturday on YouTube from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. and later at night on 90.7 FM from 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. We cover the latest news in the sports world with our wide range of beat reporters, as well as exclusive interviews with your favorite athletes. We'll see you next Saturday on One-on-One.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to One-on-One as we welcome a special guest. Sam Giangrande will leave for just a little bit, and we'll welcome Grace McCarran in for the little more MLB. Say hello.
Hey, what's up, guys? How are you?
Doing well.
We're doing good. We're having a good start to the show, I think.
The Mets segment made me sort of depressed, but we're doing well.
Yeah, happens.
I think Grace also was a little.
I wasn't thrilled, but, we won last night, so it's fine.
Yeah.
2 consecutive series wins, and maybe we can get another one today. You never know.
And then you get to cover the Subway Series.
I do get to cover the Subway Series with Lydia Perner, so that'll be fun. But
I really want to go as a fan. Or
yes.
I would like to cover.
Yeah,
also
I'd
go
like to
the
go, but I have some stuff to do.
Yeah, it's it'll be interesting.
Which
but
we were just
hey.
talking about the Mets with their woes. Their attendance has also dipped a little bit.
yeah,
And the tickets right now for the Subway Series are like $100.
yeah. I
So,
would. My problem with the early season attendance numbers is that it's also like, and this is not me making excuses, but there are other factors. The
Oh,
weather's
yeah.
awful in April.
Oh,
like
yeah.
Big time.
school's still in session. Like
True.
they've played some opponents that are not interesting. So it's like, all right.
No one wants to go to a Mets Rockies game.
Yeah,
Big
except
time.
I went to one. But I'm a special breed. But anyway, yeah. So that's like, to me, I'm like, all right. I think they'll even out a little over
Yeah.
the summer. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of a bummer. It's
Well,
just all around a bummer.
Well, I've also heard that a lot of people like Citi Field more than Yankee Stadium. Just like the
Yeah.
vibes are better.
It's
I would-
it's
I've never been.
the
so.
vibes are, in my opinion, this may be some bias, but I've been to both. The vibes, in my opinion, at Citi Field are a little better, and also Citi Field is cleaner.
I would agree with
Okay.
that. I also think Citi Field has like, and I don't mind Yankee Stadium at all. I like going, but like I think Citi Field is like more like, it's a little less corporate.
Oh, 100%.
It's a lot less corporate.
Like it has a little more personality. Like Yankee Stadium is like,
Yankee
it's a
Stadium
little
is
gray.
definitely still trying to stay to their roots and stick with
Right.
the older generation. And I
It's
think the
like-
Mets are, I think the Yankees are for the older generation, and the Mets are definitely trying to go with their geographic of the younger generation.
yeah.
Yeah.
With their, they had their whole Grimace thing. They had their,
There
Right.
is a
They're 6'7".
there is a like a working class feel, in my opinion, with the New York Mets.
100%.
Definitely.
With the New York Yankees, it's just like rich corporate
Yeah.
men.
It's business like.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, we're here to do business, not to have fun.
Yeah.
The Mets are
Yeah,
like, we
which-
might not be good, but we're having fun.
Which I know we're supposed to talk about the rest of the MLB, but this is very interesting. The Yankees also are starting to try and incorporate their spring training uniform as a
Mhm.
road uniform, and there's so many people that are mad about it, and I don't get it.
It's not that big of a deal.
It's not that
first
big of a
all.
deal.
They already got rid of the beard thing,
Right.
so
It's like, move into the 21st century.
we're still stuck in
Yeah.
like
It's okay.
1920.
Yeah. I also think like if they got a City Connect uniform, they're one of two teams who doesn't have one. I'm like, that's fine.
What's the other team? Like
the A's?
The
because they have
A's.
kind of a
Oh, well,
complicated situation right
They
now.
should make a Sacramento jersey.
Right.
But-
But yeah, I think if the Yankees had a City Connect, like it would be fine, and it would like. I don't understand why people are mad about it. Like, it's
I
not
don't
that
think Hal's gonna
serious.
do it. Let me explain.
I wish they would. If they did, I would
for-
buy it.
Let
Yeah.
me explain something for anybody that may not be a general baseball fan watching. There is an expectation, for lack of a better term, when it comes to the New York Yankees. And if you do not meet that expectation, then the Steinbrenners and Brian Cashman are going to be willing to kick you out the door. Understand something, that when we talk about the New York Yankees and when people go to see the New York Yankees, when they see them at home, they're expecting pinstripes, which, to be honest, I would expect too. When they go on the road, they're expecting that gray uniform, that boring gray uniform.
Whoa.
With yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
That boring gray uniform with no names on the back and just the numbers. In some ways, I do not feel like a lot of people within, a higher billionaire income bracket, they are not willing to change. They are willing to leave those jerseys and leave those names and the tradition as it is. In fact, that beard rule that Derek, you had mentioned, was originally the law, for lack of a better term, the law of the land within Yankee Stadium for the better part of over 50 years. And when that got overturned, many Yankees fans actually had a problem with it. So in my opinion, the standard is not just with the corporate side of the Yankees, it's also with the fans, which is why in some ways I think a lot of people technically have a problem with the Yankees as much as they do their corporate side as they do their fans, because there's just such a high expectation, and if you don't meet that expectation, which in my opinion for some is unrealistic, then you can get out the door. So to your point, Grace, I would appreciate it if the Yankees had a City Connect jersey, but given the fact that they're just unwilling to change, like a lot of people in the 1%, I just don't see it happening.
But it's also, to me, like having another jersey brings in more money as a business.
100%.
Wouldn't you want the thing that brings more money?
That's my always thing. If the Yankees got a City Connect, I would buy it immediately. If
Tons
I'm
of people
broke,
would.
if I have
Tons of
$0,
people would.
Yeah.
I would go negative to buy it.
Yeah.
Like, I would immediately buy it. And just like they did in 2017 Players Weekend, they had custom jerseys.
We
Gary
all enjoyed
Sanchez
them.
had Kraken on his back, and it was awesome, and I loved
Exactly.
it. And I don't like you. It makes money.
Like, why wouldn't you? It literally makes money. It's a business.
You
decision.
are a business.
It's a business. It's also like you're playing a child's game. Like, you can have a fun jersey. I feel
Exactly.
like it's not that deep. But
And
anyway,
to
we
your
should talk
point
about
the
league,
corporate
but-
feel and the Yankees' expectations, has always been World Series or nothing. And
Which
the
is
players,
unrealistic in my
Yeah.
opinion.
It is,
it is.
especially when your team is like, like the 2023 Yankees when Judge got hurt and they went like 82 and 80 or something.
Something
And they
like
were still
that.
expected like, oh, are they still gonna make the playoffs and go like go on a run or something? But the expectation has always been that. And when there's a player that's out of the norm, say a Jazz Chisholm who plays like
To have
not
fun.
back Jazz Chisholm or go against Jazz Chisholm, but he plays for fun.
Yeah.
He enjoys the game. It's very clear to tell that
Yeah.
he enjoys the game. He wears bling. He has custom cleats. He has
Right.
custom necklaces. He's very, very. He loves the game.
Yeah.
It's very obvious. You can look at him and you say he loves the game. And not to diss another guy, Judge. You look at Judge. He's very.
Business.
He's business. He's
Yeah.
the face of the
Business.
franchise, and that is kind of what you need to do. But you don't look at him and say, oh, he looks like he's 12 again in the backyard.
Yeah.
Which I think the Yankees need a lot more of, because in 2024 the Yankees played well. They got knocked out of the playoffs. You go to the other side at Queens to help you guys. The OMG Mets,
It
they
was
played
fun.
with fun. They literally had concerts after the games where they sang Latin music, and it was awesome.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
And it was awesome. So, like, and then now the Mets, I think, are more. I hesitate to call them corporate, but they're more corporate than
They're
they
a
were
little-
even just 2
They're
years
They're a
ago.
little too
definitely more
serious these
corporate.
days.
And now
Yeah.
they have like 13 wins.
Right.
So it's like it's almost like the more fun you have, the better you play, which is a mind-blowing thing for like the
Right.
owners to understand. But
in some
know.
ways, Derek, I would say that what you were talking about, they weren't corporate at the beginning of the season. The Mets were not corporatized at the beginning of the season. They looked like they were like that down-to-earth, everyday people type of team. After they went on that 12-game skid is when I think they started to become corporate.
yeah, and I think that they're not having fun anymore. Obviously, losing is not fun.
yeah.
And then it's just like the more you lose, the less fun you have, and the more the more you want to win, but the more you have that need to win, and that pushes you to do too much.
You're desperate.
And exactly,
You are
and then you lose
desperate.
more.
Yeah.
So it's kind of just like an everlasting, and until something can break that and either bring some fun or fix I think the clubhouse issue is the thing that will help them. And
Yeah.
if that doesn't get fixed, nothing's ever gonna get fixed.
Yeah. I
Not
agree
at
with
all.
that.
Yeah.
But finally, to move on, we need to talk about the rest of the MLB. We're still in New York.
We're still in New York.
The Chicago Cubs have emerged as they now have the best record in baseball. It was the Braves for the longest time. The Cubs just took over that mantle. They've had two separate stints where they've won 10 games in a row. I don't think they've lost at home in like a month, which is weird to say because the season's only been going on for like a month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
it's like 15 straight home wins or something
Yeah,
like that.
They've
something-
won 10 games in a row. That's outrageous.
They've done it twice this
They've done it
season.
twice.
And they've only played like 40 games.
Yeah.
So like it's insane. And I mean, there's not like a certain player that you can point to that's exactly like why they've been doing it. Their offseason acquisition, Alex Bregman, who's not been himself. Nico Horner has been Nico Horner. PCA has not. He's still got his defense, but he's not been like the offensive talent that he was at the beginning of last season.
Mm-hmm.
But Ian Happ has been playing very well. Dansby Swanson has stints where he's played very well. But like random guys like Michael Conforto had a walk-off home run. They also walked off the
Love.
Reds like 3 times in a row,
Former
Yeah.
Met.
which
Love Michael Conforto. Let me just break in and say that. He was my favorite player growing up, so I'm very happy to see him doing kind of well in Chicago. Kind of surprisingly, because he was really bad in Los Angeles last year. But
Yeah.
hey, man, love it. Love to see it.
their pitching has been pretty good. Shodi Imanaga looks like he's back,
Mm-hmm.
but Edward Cabrera has been pretty good. Jamison Tyone has not been
Yeah.
bad, but he's not been great. Like it's just weird to look at the stats and like
To be honest, I
wonder-
think if the Chicago Cubs keep this up, they could win the National League pennant.
I mean
Yeah.
we
I
are
don't
still
know.
40 games in.
We
so
are
I
And then
still
we
hesitate.
still have
40
the
games.
Dodgers.
I
in
mean,
that.
we could also say that the Rays could be like the 2 seed. Well, they can't be the 2 seed because the Yankees would be above them at
The
this
Yankees
point.
would be above
But-
them, yeah.
Like again, the Yankees and the Rays are the only two teams in the AL I think right now that are above 500, unless the Guardians just won or the A's just won or something. But they're the only two good teams, and everyone else in the AL is not good. And
the
then everyone
American
in the NL
League
Central
is terrible.
Yeah, the Yankees honestly should have a cakewalk to the World Series this year. I'm just gonna call it now.
Oh, yeah.
They should be in the World Series
If
this
they
year.
don't,
if they're not,
it's
it's
disappointing.
kind of a problem.
Yeah.
And I'm not usually World Series or bust because I'm used to not being in the World Series as a Mets fan. But like, I think this season, if you look at the rest of the American League, assuming nothing like what you said happens, like someone gets hurt or whatever, like they're probably eventually going to go on a skid because they do that.
It's
in the middle
June
of the
always
year.
happens.
Right, the June swoon. It's okay, like it happens, but they should be in the World Series this year. I think they could beat the Rays too.
I mean, they just got swept in Tampa, but they also weren't playing well, and now they're playing better. I don't know. They also play the Rays at home soon, so.
Yeah.
But if you look at the other contenders that were in the AL last year, the Blue Jays have forgotten how to play baseball. The Mariners can still pitch. Their constant Mariners problem is they can pitch, but they can't hit, and they still can't hit. Which Julio Rodriguez is always going to have a horrible first half and then have a really good second half. I don't know how he always manages to do that, but he does. Also, Cal Raleigh can't hit again. So the Mariners aren't playing well. The Astros are always in it, but they can't pitch at all, and they can hit really well, but they can't pitch. The whole the whole AL Central is just weird,
and
the Tigers are now completely out of it because they don't have Skubal anymore.
Yeah.
Because he got hurt. The Guardians are probably going to win the division because they always manage to win the division, going like 83 and 79.
Yeah.
So, the Royals aren't doing anything. The White Sox have one good player.
Yeah, Murakami's
Murakami's great.
He's electric.
He's great. I could name Edgar Caro on the White Sox, and that's the only other player.
Couldn't tell you much else about them.
Yeah.
I think Andrew Benintendi is still on the roster. Is he batting below 100? Also probably. But
probably.
The whole AL is just like a horror
Very
show.
weird. The A's are leading the AL West though.
They're very mid.
I like
They're
that.
very mid.
They're very mid.
They don't
but
have
they have
pitching.
some interesting players.
If they make the playoffs and we have to watch an American League playoff game in a AAA stadium, I will
gonna
be
be
a little.
really bad.
That would be really bad.
They're lucky that didn't happen last year with
Yeah.
2 AAA stadiums with the Rays too. Now they have
That's
the
true.
Trop back, but
Yeah.
I'm really shocked they didn't move, to be honest. I really thought they were just going to move. I
Me
really
too.
wanted them to move to Charlotte because then I would have an AL East team close to my hometown.
yeah.
And that would be great. But they did not. And I think they might still move soon.
They're moving to Vegas in, I think, 2028.
Well, the A's are moving to Vegas, yeah.
Yeah.
The Rays.
Oh, you're talking about the
Yeah.
Rays.
The
I'm
Rays,
sorry.
I think, have plans in place to get a new stadium in like St. Petersburg.
That's
not
still the
in
same
Tam-
area, though.
or
and I
not
s-
in
That's
Tampa.
still
Or
in
I'm
the
sorry,
same-
other way
yeah.
around. They have a
Oh,
have
to go to
plans
Tampa, not St.
go to
Pete.
Tampa and leave
Okay.
St. Pete, which is probably the right decision because they
Like-
also have attendance issues.
Yeah, like near
'cause
the
no one
Bucks
wants to drive
Stadium.
there. Yeah,
I think that would help them, but I don't know if that solves their problem.
yeah. I also think the Rays are just not like they haven't really been really interesting in a few years now.
And ever since, bleep this out, Emma, Wander Franco.
Right.
Ever since
Right.
that. And even they weren't like super crazy until the stuff came out.
yeah, and then like,
they started talking about the Rays.
yeah, like Randy Rosarena had that one miracle year like 5 years ago.
Yeah,
like,
that was literally 2020.
yeah, like
10 home runs.
yeah, we've lost the plot a little with them, but
And they lost.
And they almost blew a 3-0 lead in the ALCS
yeah,
True.
to the
right.
Astros.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't really
Brett
know.
Phillips. They also lost Brett Phillips.
Brett Phillips was electric.
The
I
GOAT
believe
Brett
he
Phillips.
retired, but
He did retire.
yeah,
I think he tried to start pitching.
he did. Someone
Joey
signed
Gallo
him
also tried
for-
to start pitching.
Yeah, it really never works out.
No.
I fear. Someone signed him, Brett Phillips, as a pitcher, and then he never saw the mound, as far as I know.
Yeah.
so.
I think Joey Gallo pitched in single A.
yeah.
I think. I don't know. He wasn't. I mainly know him from his Yankee stint because I watched him a little bit on the Rangers, but when he played for the Yankees, I went to his first ever game on the Yankees, and that was probably the best he ever looked, and he walked twice.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
What a fall from grace. That might be
Truly.
the worst baseball.
and he
run I've
the whole
ever
thing he
watched.
did was hit home runs, and he didn't even do
Right.
that well in
He-
the home run
he
derby.
Didn't, he didn't do that.
Like,
yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
But the whole NL Central is above 500. I don't know how still. The Reds, I think I'm saying this partially because my friend is a Reds fan and I need to hate on them. They're kind of frauds.
yeah.
Hunter Green is a dog, though.
Hunter Green is their
love Hunter
pitching is a
Green.
dog.
Yeah.
Their pitchings are dogs. Sal Stewart cannot hit anything except a fastball. Ellie De La Cruz still strikes out too much, and that's basically their whole offense.
Yeah.
Ellie
Eugenio
De La
Suarez
Cruz
has not
needs to
done
leave
anything.
Cincinnati. I'm sorry, but he just has to. If
Ellie
he
has to
ever
leave?
if he
Ellie's
ever
going to the
want-
Dodgers like tomorrow.
Probably.
Probably.
Honestly, I would book that now.
I would book it.
Like
Nobody wants that,
no.
but it might happen. So
Pittsburgh is above 500. No thanks to. I'm forgetting names, and their DH that they just signed from Ozuna, Marcelo Ozuna.
Yeah.
No thanks to Marcelo Ozuna.
Ozuna from the Braves.
I'm Ozuna from the Braves.
Oh, now Ozuna from the Pirates. Yeah, he hasn't really
No.
done anything. I don't really even know how they're still above 500. It's probably
I
mostly
true-
because of Paul Skeens whenever he starts, but
Yeah.
even then, I don't think they're winning those starts. So
I think they won one of them, and it was 1-0 because he pitched 8 innings.
yeah,
And I'm
Paul
really
Skeens is
shocked they
going
didn't
to
blow
the
it.
Dodgers.
Paul Skeens, he's gonna be a Dodger. Ellie De La Cruz, he's
Is
gonna be a
gonna
Dodger.
be a
Aaron
Dodger.
Judge, Dodgers. Why not? Cody Bellinger, Dodgers. Why
Dodgers,
not?
why
Terry
not?
Skubal.
Munetaka Murakami, trade deadline to the Dodgers. Like
That's
at this
just
point,
that is
Exactly.
literally just like pure corporate tyranny, if I'm being honest, because you're basically just getting every single good player, and it's totally unaccounted for. They are engaging in corporate tyranny.
But
Yeah.
also, like, to some of the other owners in the league who don't want to spend money, spend some money, and maybe the Dodgers won't have all the players.
Exactly. Like the Rays don't spend any money. The one time
Yeah.
they tried to spend money, they spent it on the wrong guy, and I think
Right.
that might have
And-
paranoid them.
Right, and
But-
now what happens? Like,
yeah.
like just start spending. Like, it's
Guardian-
also like everyone else has to contribute here.
Yeah.
If you want to stop the Dodgers so
It's
bad.
The salary cap, salary floor discussion is too intricate, and it's really interesting, but it's too intricate to like
Wha-
try and figure out.
Well, let's also remember that the Dodgers make about $321 million a year off of TV contracts. Do you think the Pirates or the Rays or the A's are getting that kind of money? They're
It
not.
is the big market, but
yeah.
I
But,
mean,
like,
also
still.
like teams like the Reds, who I've heard a lot of like they don't spend money because the Reds never spend money. Their owner is very, very rich.
All of these owners are
All of-
so rich.
They're
like,
and they have the money to spend, and they just don't do it.
they don't do it.
Which-
Make a splash. The Reds haven't made a splash in years. Make a
Their
big
biggest splash was Eugenio Suarez, and
Right.
he already played for them, and he's like 35.
Right. Like, make a bigger splash, and maybe we'll have a little more competition. Like,
Yeah.
it's up to everybody, and like we can't really blame the Dodgers for wanting to get better every season. That's what you're supposed to do.
But then also the money argument is then you look at the Dodgers, and yes, they're playing well, and then you look at the Mets, and they're not
Right.
with the money.
So,
Like no offense.
no,
but
it's fine. Like, yeah, it kind of is like you have to balance, like, you want to spend the money, but you also have to like put together a team that is going to. They took a lot of chances this season. Jorge Polanco, like, we kind of went into it knowing that guy was not going to be healthy all year.
Yeah.
Also, you're sending
Yeah.
him to first base. He's never played first base. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
they took
fair
a lot
enough.
of question marks. But then they gave Juan Soto the massive contract. He's not a question mark. So
No.
Juan Soto
everybody
is
has
not
to
a
start
question mark.
signing bigger contracts. Like,
I
it's
think
fine.
money makes it easier to build a team, but it doesn't make it guaranteed.
It doesn't.
You
yeah.
still need to be smart.
Well, right. If spending the most money guaranteed you a World Series win, the Dodgers would have like 20 more rings, and the Mets would probably have a few too.
Yeah. So
Money ain't everything.
nope, definitely not. You still got to be a little smart.
Yeah.
Just a little bit dumber maybe than the cheap guys, but
yeah,
still smart.
exactly.
But I think that'll do it. We're gonna go from the grass. We're gonna go to the hardwood right after this. We're gonna talk about the Knicks and the playoffs right after this.
It's WFUV New York, public media from Fordham University. Come for the music, stay for the community. Listen at 90.7 FM or at WFUV.org.
everybody once again as we leave baseball behind and we go to the hardwood. We've got Bobby Chaffardini joining us, our sports director here at WFUV. He was actually at the Game 3 of the Knicks-Phillies, or not Phillies, 76ers series, Philadelphia.
It might as well have been the Phillies, honestly.
Well,
Yeah, so
No disrespect to the
Yeah.
Sixers, but the way they played,
at
not too good.
So I'm assuming by that the Knicks did win 108-94, so they won by 14. I'm assuming by that you think that they played worse than a 14-point loss.
I think the Sixers, of course, obviously are in serious trouble. They have not played well at all in this series. You almost kind of get a sense, I don't know if you guys feel the same way, that they kind of spent all of their energy to beat the Celtics, and I think they're just done. But
a
in
3-1
combination
comeback
to
will
it,
do that to you.
yeah, in combination to it, and that's a great point too. In combination, the Knicks are playing the best basketball maybe I've ever seen in my life from this team.
I mean, they were up 50 at half in the final game they played against the Hawks, which I think, one, gave them momentum, two, gave them energy because they didn't have to play Game 7, and they didn't have to play a whole Game 6 because they were already up 50. They could have stopped playing. They could have literally scored 0 at half and probably still won. And then they come in and they blow out the Sixers, and it's like it's coming easy to them. And
Right
I think
now.
the Sixers, it's not coming easy to them at all.
Yeah, again, I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but I mean, my assessment of what I've seen so far in the series, the Sixers definitely do not have a bench. They don't have anybody that they can turn to kind of give a relief to their starters. Embiid, to me, looks like he's not 100%, which that makes sense because
Yeah.
he's always been kind of injury-prone. And, again, I think he really exhausted himself in that Celtics series,
Yeah, which
as
right
you
before
mentioned with the comeback.
Right before that series, he had surgery for appendicitis, too. So he wasn't exactly 100% during that. And I think taking that time off and then having to immediately rush into a playoff series doesn't help. And then having to play all 7, especially the back 3 at 100% constantly, trying to win those 3 and come back. And then going into another tough series against the Knicks, against a guy they have to constantly post up against Cat. I don't think that helps him whatsoever.
Yeah, it doesn't help that they don't have depth. It doesn't help that Embiid is not 100%. But again, not to take anything away from the Knicks, because I think it is a combination of the two things. The Sixers are not equipped to win this series. The Knicks are playing the best basketball of their lives. And guys, I got to tell you, the highlight of last night for me was the fact that was Madison Square Garden, Philadelphia.
In Philadelphia, yeah.
That place was absolutely rocking with Knick fans. I think like 95% of the crowd,
That's crazy.
in my
for
mind,
Philly.
seemed like it was
Yeah.
it was all Knick fan base.
I mean, New York's not, Philly's not that far away. That's only like a 2.5-hour drive,
yeah.
depending
No, but
on
still.
traffic.
Train, even then, it's under 2 hours. I'm surprised that like the 76ers as a franchise don't have a program to make it so it's primarily Philly fans in the stadium. Like, atmosphere is so important for a game like this. Like, New York fans get in your head. Like, Knicks fans, I think, for U.S. sports are probably number one for rowdiness, for like how loud they are, for what they bring.
I mean, that's New
And,
Yorkers in
yeah.
general, but yeah.
But so like not having it to where your stadium's filled with your own fans, it causes like, I mean, we were saying earlier, it's a bit of a mental game, but it causes like players to feel different when they don't have their fans with them.
There was a post that ESPN had put out where they were describing how Embiid was actually getting booed at one of his own free throw attempts in his own house. So
Yeah.
I don't see that. Like, ever.
yeah.
I
Knick
mean, in
fans
one of the-
travel well, though.
One of the press conferences, Embiid said to the fan base, to the faithful, "We need you to come out for
Yeah.
Game 3. We need you."
Yeah.
And
Which is something
obviously-
someone at the Rose Hill gym would say.
Yeah,
When like
very
there's like
true,
10
very
like
true.
students in the stands. But when it's Joel Embiid, the MVP player of the Philadelphia 76, especially Philly, they're crazy over there. So I mean I'm shocked that like they're not at least like half.
I mean, it definitely did not seem that way,
Like
both
this-
at halftime and post-game. I mean, the crowd, the fans, I felt like they might burn the building down, which, on a side note, if the Knicks do somehow win a championship, you guys should definitely take a vacation from New York City.
Oh,
because
absolutely.
I think
I'm not.
I-
I'm
the
not leaving Long
ramifications
Island.
of a Knicks championship in the Big
The whole
Apple,
city's
there
gonna
probably
burn.
will
It'll
not
turn to
be
Gotham City,
a city
100%.
after that.
To hold
Yeah,
you to that, I think if the Knicks lose the championship, the same thing happens. So I
Big
think
time.
lose-lose.
if
like,
we make
for New
if
York
the Knicks
City.
make the championship, regardless, we need to schedule some kind of vacation because we cannot.
I'm
If
not-
we win, city's gone. If we
Listen,
lose, the city's gone.
Listen, I'm not going to be here for the summer because I have some stuff to do back at home in Texas,
You'll be
but
safe there.
I will say I will be watching, and if the Knicks do end up winning the title, yeah, there's not going to be a city to come back to.
I mean, you guys are worried about hantavirus or whatever they're calling it. I'm worried about the Knicks winning a championship.
Well, Bobby, you have your priorities straight with that.
You know, because I think the city's going to burn down. And I think there's a good chance that they could do it, honestly, the way that they've played.
Oh, yeah.
I also think that it's good that you got out of Philly Game 3 because if the Knicks do sweep and they win Game 4, I don't think Philly will be
Philly's
there
also
either.
like gonna be gone.
I think also if Philly made the championship, regardless if they win or lose, the city will also be gone. I think Philly and New York, if they make the championship, no matter what happens, there will be no more
They
city.
just like to
Yeah,
break
there
their own
will not
city.
be a city.
I saw a post on Instagram. It was like a Knicks fan complaining they lost, so the city's gone, and then a Knicks fan celebrating they won, and the
I
city's
saw the
gone.
exact same
And a
video,
Philly fan,
yeah.
they're happy that they won, so the city it's.
These are-
Philly and New York are very, very similar in that regard.
They're both burning their
Like
city
we all
down.
know,
love
we've
or
all
hate
heard,
it.
we've all heard the term "the Bronx is burning." If the Knicks win the NBA title, Manhattan will be burning.
There might be people on top of the Statue of Liberty.
Yes,
I don't
Hell
know how
yes.
they'll get there,
Size.
but they will get there.
they'll just
They
swim,
can
bro.
They can storm the building. Or I was thinking Empire State Building, but same thing with that. There's gonna be people on top of every rooftop.
Oh,
like,
100%.
waving Knicks flags.
Oh, 100%. Waving whatever they have.
And in terms of action between the lines, which I thought was interesting to note too, and I don't know if you guys felt the same way about this, but obviously one of the biggest factors last night, no OG for the Knicks.
Yeah.
But Bridges has absolutely come alive in this series. He was not very good against Atlanta. And I thought about him last night because maybe the fans remember this. He was drafted by the Sixers. His mom actually worked for the organization. He puts the cap on draft night and then never gets to actually play for the Sixers. They trade him to Phoenix. And I get a sense from him that this series is personal.
It's a revenge game.
It's a revenge series for him.
Wow.
And I also get a sense that if there is a road place for the Knicks to go rivalry-wise that they could play and really perform well, because, of course, they are the Nova Knicks still, even without Dante,
Yep.
them going to Philadelphia and playing well is a bunt for them. Jalen Brunson, Bridges, Josh Hart, all exceptional, which leads me to the next point. Jalen Brunson right now
He's
is on another level.
Another tear.
And we actually have a clip from the postgame last night. He told us that we were underestimating the New York Knicks.
I see these guys every single day. You guys only see like the finished product. You guys see what's on the court. You guys see what's when the cameras are on, when there's media access. You guys don't see the ups and downs of us in the locker room talking things out. You guys don't see us in practice trying to figure things out. And we all want to win. And obviously there's ups and downs of it, and we have times where we look disconnected and we look connected. That's just team. That's basketball. That's sports. That's life. There's going to be ups and downs. It's all about how you move on and how you get how you move in a positive direction, regardless if things are negative or positive.
Yeah, I mean, he's absolutely right because we do see the final product and we don't see like if the locker room is good or if it's bad, and I kind of connecting that, like we don't see the Yankees locker room and if they're doing well or meshing well, and it seems like they would be meshing well because they're playing well, and we don't see the Mets locker room because they're not playing well, and maybe their locker room is worse, and maybe that's the deciding factor of whether or not they're playing well or not. And when the Mets or the Knicks are playing well, they're not playing well. We don't see what's going on behind closed doors.
And the best part, Derek, is Jalen Brunson also told us in the post game that the future looks bright for the Knicks, and he kind of sounded like Kobe Bryant, where he's like, job not finished type of thing. Checked out this clip.
You got to block out the noise. You got to focus on inside those lines. You got to focus on just us as a team. There's going to be times where things aren't going your way. It's how you respond. How you respond as a team is going to define who we are. And I think it took time. I think we still have a lot of room that we can grow. But it's really the key for us. I think our mental approach is a positive for us.
New York one win away from reaching back-to-back conference finals for the first time since 1999-2000. You gentlemen weren't even alive at that
No,
point.
I
So
was not.
just to
I
put
came
it
in
in perspective how long
2004.
ago that was.
Yeah, that's. I also think Brunson's answers are very, very good. He's obviously very well media trained with how like present the media is in sports now. I like the analogy of the job not finished from Kobe. They're obviously trying not to get overconfident. They are 3-0, and the games haven't been particularly close, especially what was it, game 1 where they won by 30. But I mean, there's still the game, at least game 4 to play, if not more. Plus they have to beat another Eastern Conference team. Plus they have to play in the finals. So
Yep.
there's still so much left to play, and the playoffs now are just so long. There's so much still to do.
I mean, it'll be June, right, by the time it's all said and done, so
Yep.
it's a bit of a ways away. But most Knicks fans, Derek, you know this. We drink the Kool-Aid. I
Yeah.
mean, it's the game that the series is already done against the Sixers. We've already beaten Detroit
You're
or
already celebrating the
Cleveland.
finals win.
Already
we-
celebrating the finals
SGA and
win.
OKC. It's done. It's a wrap. The parade is booked. We'll see you down the Canyon of Heroes. So.
Like I said, I will not be here over the summer, but if the Knicks do win a title, yeah, there's not going to be a city for me to return to in August.
I think it really would burn down. I mean, I'm saying it funny, but I
No,
think it
I'm
really
serious
would.
as
it
well.
very much
It would be epic, I think.
It'd be epic, but then you see like 2 days after, like, oh great, like how do we get to work? Like how's the city function after every single thing is torn to pieces?
I will say our Mayor Mamdani will have his work cut out, but I think he might join them because he's also a Knicks
probably.
fan.
He is
so
also
I
a Knicks
think
He'd be
fan,
living it
yeah.
up.
I think that might make it worse for the city. I think it's
They're like, if he's on it, like
Think
what do
we're
we have
screwed.
to worry about?
Yeah,
if
I don't
Zoran's
know.
on it, then
I think
yeah.
we might be screwed. But you did mention SGA, and to connect it kind of with the Knicks, they do have to move forward, and with Knicks fans and a lot of NBA like analysts, the Knicks kind of, if they do make it to the next series and they have to play either the Cavs or the Pistons, it's kind of like who do the Knicks have to beat essentially, not who they have to play, who do they have to beat. So beyond that, in the finals, do they have a shot against a top team in the West like the Thunder or the Spurs?
Well, I mean, the Spurs have been a team that they've played really well this year, right? Like in terms of their success against them in the regular season, winning the cup.
Yep.
And then you look at the Thunder, and they've been amazing this postseason, which is something that
They're
a lot of
currently
defending
undefeated.
champs, undefeated. A lot of defending champs tend to be, but they're so boring to watch, right?
Yeah.
Like so many young fans just not that enthused about their style of play. I'm sure the Knicks, of course, because it's been so very long for them to even be in the finals. Honestly, I mean, it was a long time ago. You would give them a shot. You got to be in it to win it, right? So they've been in this position now for a couple years in terms of being competitive. I do think that the Knicks are very deep. You look last night, Landry Shamet had a great game, double figures, really stepped it up without OG in there. And I know I was talking to one of the other colleagues in the press box, and I'll pose this question to all of you on the show. Do the Knicks have a better starting five than OKC? Because they might. They might have a better starting five when healthy, when OG is back, which I think he'll be okay because it sounds like Ian Begley of SNY fame, he an insider with the Knicks, he was saying that it's not that bad. The Knicks are just resting him because they don't need him against the Sixers.
Yeah.
So OG should be back. He should be fine. And when it's 100%, which, again, we don't know if that'll be the case when it comes to the finals because injuries are a big part of this time of year. But if the Knicks are fully ready to go and OKC is fully ready to go, you might be able to make a case that the Knicks starting five is actually better than the Thunder.
Would you then say the Thunder's like bench is stronger than the Knicks?
Yeah, I think OKC is also equally deep, but there's also a sensation lately that the Knicks bench players are starting to find their roles because, again, Shamet's been really good. Deuce is now back. He was out for a good chunk of the season. Mitchell Robinson had a big highlight last night.
Yeah.
The Knicks are they're deep. They're actually deeper than I think they've ever been.
I agree with that, and I think that everyone on this team has found their niche and found what they can at exactly the right time. I think they found it at the end of the Hawks series, and I think if they keep holding on to that, they have a shot to beat anyone. But I think OKC consistently has held on to that where everyone plays their role, and the Knicks just found that. So I think that kind of can play into it as well.
I'd love to see it. I would love to see Thunder Knicks in the finals.
I don't want to see the Thunder because, like you said, they're boring to watch.
They are
We watched the
boring to
Lakers,
watch.
their entire team and their coach go up to the refs and be like, "Hey, what
What is
was
this?
that?"
Yeah.
Like,
So you'd rather see Wemby and the Spurs?
100%.
That's if the Spurs even make it.
Yeah. What? Like you said, the starting five of let's just go 1-to-1 for every player. So at the 1, Jalen Brunson, SGA.
I think you go SGA, but
I
Brunson's
think you
not
could go
far off.
SGA.
I think purely in like what they've played in the playoffs, I think they're much more even. But if you take like their whole career, like just the season, I think SGA is better. I think you have to just
MVP of the
MVP.
league.
OG is there too. Yes, for the Knicks. I mean, he's out now. And
Yeah.
then AJ Mitchell played against the Lakers. I don't know if he's like their normal starting two, but for the Thunder,
I'd
It has
say
to be who
OG.
their starting two is in the postseason, but yeah, they've got
Yeah.
Chet.
Chet plays the 4. Yeah. So, but their starting two would be AJ Mitchell. So OG or OG,
Healthy OG.
OG, yeah.
Josh Hart or Lou Dort.
Josh Hart.
I think it's close,
I'd say Josh Hart.
and maybe Hart might have the edge.
I think on a given day, either one can be better than. I think they're very. I don't know. I think they're like Josh Hart can have a really good game or he can have a really bad game. I don't know like what his middle ground is.
It's possible.
And
but
then you
I
have
would s-
Chet and Hartenstein, who obviously is the former Knick.
Yeah. And then Mikal Bridges and Cat.
I mean, it's really not. It's not that far off.
I think Cat is just over Hartenstein, and I think Chet with a couple more years is over Bridges. But I think
I think Chet's over Bridges at this point,
You
but
think?
again, it depends which player comes to play,
Exactly.
right? Is it Bridges against the Hawks
Which
or
it-
is it Bridges against the Sixers?
exactly because
And then the same with Towns. I mean, Towns has either been unbelievable or he kind of disappears sometimes. But in this series so far, now that they've moved him into more of a passing role, and that's opened up things for Brunson,
yeah, which
it's
I
a
think
different
is
team.
I think that's the big problem with the Knicks because OKC, you can reliably get like the very similar performances from a lot of players at a very high level, and the Knicks are either one of the worst teams you've ever watched, and you're like puzzled at how these players that are getting paid so much and have like you've seen play so well are playing like they are, or they're the greatest team you've ever witnessed. And I think if they can hold, they've been playing at this high level for 4 games now. If they can hold that just into the finals, they certainly have a shot. But if they falter just a little bit, I think that they lose that shot. There's just too much variability.
Yeah, there's going to be a sense of how are you doing today kind of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, right now they're hotter than hot, and then the question will be how long that can be sustained. But at the same time, after just going through those matchups with you guys, it sounds like the difference in that series, aside from maybe the benches and maybe the coaches, because that I think plays a part too when it comes to the finals, it will really boil down to SGA, Brunson.
Whoever has the better
SGA,
game.
Brunson.
And
Yeah.
at the moment, Brunson is playing better than SGA in the playoffs. At least the past couple of games. I think so. Because SGA has been, against the Lakers, has been not, like, he hasn't had, like, an explosive high scoring. He's, scoring 20 like he normally does. But he's not had, like, a 30 or 40. Well, Brunson has scored, like, 35, like,
And
every
making some
game.
ridiculous
Yeah.
shots. Bank one in last night. He was hitting threes, like falling off one foot. I mean,
Yeah.
just it's like
Crazy.
it's crazy. I was saying to Grace on the other side of the glass here before. It's almost like, and Jay Wright has said this. I don't think any one of us could have imagined how good Jalen Brunson could be. I knew when they got him, he was good. He was very good in Dallas. He was obviously amazing at Villanova, but he's almost gotten markedly better over time.
Yeah. I think he's really unlocked that ability to literally anywhere inside the arc can make any shot from there. The 3 can be on and off, but I think if he's inside the arc, just generally anywhere on the court, he can make a shot from almost anywhere. And I think it's remarkable when you can just give that guy the ball and just you're going to have at least 2.
He still scares me a bit defensively.
Oh, yeah.
At his size, but man, oh man, the Knicks really found themselves a gem. I could see why fans are just so in love with having him. He's kind of reached cult status, almost like some of the Knicks of yesteryear, whether it was Patrick or Starks.
Or Spreewell.
or
at
Spreewell or
Houston.
Houston. I mean, again, we fall in love with our players. I mean, even in some of the down years, right? A Nate Robinson,
A Carmelo
David
Anthony.
Lee. I mean,
Yeah.
Carmelo, of course, was a star, but I mean, I think if he ran for mayor of New York City, Jalen Brunson would be
Oh,
be your
yeah.
new mayor,
Judge or
especially
Judge or-
right now.
Judge or Brunson.
Judge
for
or
mayor.
Brunson for mayor.
You know, the Yankee fans are tough on Judge because he hasn't won a World Series, so I'm sure that would change.
I'd say Brunson.
If Brunson wins the
Brunson.
championship.
Yeah, if Brunson wins a championship first.
He would get the key to the city. He can go anywhere he wants. He
Zoran might give Jalen
I think he
Brunson the key to the
would.
city if he
Oh,
wins
100%.
an NBA title.
I think
Yankees
so.
are cooking though, man. I mean, again, I
Yankees-
don't want to talk too early. I know it's just May, but this has been also the best Yankee team, I think, in terms of depth. If we're talking about depth, not to switch gears, but best Yankee team we've seen in a long time too. And depth is obviously important. I mean, look what it's done to the Sixers. I mean, I think last night it wasn't until the Grimes 3-pointer late in kind of like garbage time that they had any sort of offense coming off the bench
Yeah, and in game 2 they played almost exclusively
with like
their
6
starters.
guys.
Yeah, like it was like 7, maybe 8 rotation.
Yeah, you can't do that.
Yeah, especially when you just played a long 7 and now you're playing.
And Embiid
Well,
is not 100%. I
yeah.
don't think,
Which he
which
never
is normal for him.
Yeah,
You know.
which sucks, but and then the Knicks are, other than OG, pretty much 100%, and I think everyone on the court is 100%. And like you said, I
It
think they're
seems
finding,
like it.
I think they're finding their spots, and I think they've really unlocked what this team, like the top of what they can imagine
potential.
to be. I
Yeah.
agree.
I mean, you get a sense too that every once in a while things just click for a team, right? So the question will be whether or not, like we've talked about already in this segment, whether or not that is sustainable, how long that goes. But the Knicks right now have really found a groove. They're playing some of the best basketball, I think, in franchise history. They have a really good, cohesive team, and they look poised to go back to conference finals. And then at that point, I would say even if they're not the top seed, right? Like if they play Detroit, which maybe they'll be favored just because they had a better regular season and also played well against the Knicks in the regular season, you'd have to give the Knicks, I think, the edge in that series right now. In fact, I don't know if I'm correct in saying this. I think Vegas had elevated the Knicks already to projection of going to the finals.
That is true.
And I think maybe even
is
as the
true.
favorite to win the finals now. Now, again, that might mean nothing in the
might.
grand scheme, but I think yesterday that might have changed.
They're
Okay.
third. They're best out of the East. OKC is currently at negative
Odds.
160, so they're easily the favorite. And then it's the Spurs and then the Knicks.
Okay. All right, well, definitely best team out of the East then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
but-
do not trust Detroit. I just don't.
No, I don't.
You said that, too, earlier.
Yeah.
They
mhm.
struggled a lot against.
Ethan
the
said that
Magic,
at the start of the playoffs. He said don't
Yeah,
trust
don't
the
trust
Pistons.
Detroit.
They
yeah.
struggled way too much against the Magic,
Yeah.
and they've beaten the Cavs, but they haven't showed that they can. I don't know. It seems like they're always playing to the level of who they're playing, and I think if they play someone like the Knicks who are playing at such a high level, I don't think they can match that, especially when your scorer is Cade and just pretty much
Cunningham's
Cade.
amazing, too,
Oh,
though.
100%.
Yeah, I mean, that's a player that, you get an idea that it'll probably be the similar type of thing, right, where it'd be Cunningham versus Brunson, and
And whoever plays better.
whoever plays better in that series could be the
But I think-
deciding factor, too.
I think
Yeah,
even
and
if
then also not to cut you
No, you're
off,
fine.
but also the Pistons and Cavs play today at 3 p.m.
yeah.
and then the Lakers and Thunder play today at 8:30.
But speaking,
Pistons up 2-0.
yeah,
Yep.
Pistons are up 2-0. OKC's up 2-0. I think OKC cleans up. I think the Pistons. I don't know. I feel like I think the Cavs might push against the Pistons. I don't know if they win the
Maybe.
series, but I think they do. I think it'll probably just be OKC Spurs in the conference finals in the West. The
And then
Spurs
Pistons next.
Pistons Knicks probably, and the
Pistons,
Spurs have
Knicks,
put up
yeah.
a big fight against the Thunder, but it is also the playoffs. So I don't. But also, the really notable thing that I think about whenever I think about the Spurs is in the regular season it's 82 games. Wemby constantly is on a minutes restriction because of he's 7'4". You have to.
Yeah.
In the playoffs, he's still on a restriction. You don't want to kill him, but he's on less of a restriction, and I think Wemby playing more. The Spurs are already good when he's playing half the game. When he's playing 3 quarters, I think they're on another level. And I think his supporting cast has really come out. and I think they definitely have a shot against the Thunder.
I mean, it's so funny how basketball is matchups. I mean, maybe most sports are, right? The Spurs match up really well against OKC, just like the Knicks match up really well against San Antonio.
Exactly.
So it's funny because I think Knicks fans wanted the Celtics because they knew they would probably run over Boston.
Yeah.
They were a little bit afraid of the Sixers, but then push comes to shove. They play Philadelphia in this round, and they've obviously dismantled them so far. So you look at the regular season, the Knicks actually against Philly were, not as good as you would think. And maybe that's another way of saying you could just throw out the regular season stats altogether because, again, the Pistons gave them a little bit of a hard time this year. Maybe that won't factor in when it comes to the postseason, how they're playing right now. And then the same thing with the action against the West. Like, again, they did play San Antonio well during the regular season, but you don't know if they would play them as well in the finals. I'm sure as a Knicks fan, you'd probably rather see San Antonio than OKC, right?
In some ways, but to bring it back to another thing when you were talking about the Knicks basically dismantling the Sixers, I know it is 3-0, but at the same time, let's not get ahead of ourselves. There is still one more game to play. I know 3-0 comebacks across sports are very, very rare. It's only ever happened 5 times. 4 times in the NHL, and of course once in Major League Baseball.
We can stop
Never
there.
happened.
Stop there.
Yeah, that didn't happen as
No.
far as I'm
No,
concerned.
I don't remember.
I don't remember that.
No,
When
no.
did that happen?
But with respect, of course it's never happened in the NBA.
Well,
I'm
it
not
could happen, I
saying
guess,
that
at some point.
it could happen at some point. I'm not saying it'll happen with the Knicks, but
That would be
don't
That'd be another instance where the city
where the
would
city
burn.
burns down. But with respect, just don't get ahead of yourself. There is still one more game to play. But to your other point about the Knicks possibly wanting OKC or San Antonio in the NBA Finals, I would rather want San Antonio than I would Oklahoma City. But push comes to shove, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, success that they've had against them this year, the way they match up against them, the fact that they're young, still probably not tested.
Yeah.
The defending champs have been there, done that, so they're not going to
Exactly.
be afraid of the NBA Finals.
No, not at all. And I think, also just from a viewership standpoint, I'd rather watch Knicks Spurs. That's also just me as a viewer.
SGA is such a terrific player, but yet again, his game is just so much of it
I
spent
wish
at the
he'd
free
used-
throw line.
I wish he used more of his talent to not go to the free throw line constantly. Like, he has the talent
It
to be an
works,
MVP
though.
without it.
It works.
It's so annoying that it works.
You kind of wonder if there are kids out on playgrounds somewhere right now practicing flopping at the free throw line.
Yeah, man.
Because they're watching this
That's what I
guy.
look up to.
When I was a kid, it was you tried to emulate Michael Jordan's
Yeah.
tongue and baggy shorts and
Yeah.
maybe I can dunk from the free throw line type of thing. And now it's SGA and the flopping and his free throws. So
I really hope not. I really hope not. But I think that'll do it for us on the hardwood. We'll be right back with Sam's interview right after this.
Hey, what's up? It's Owen Kelty, one of WFUV Sports' New York Knicks beat reporters. Jalen Brunson and the New York Knicks look to dominate the East and bring a championship back to New York. Keep up all season long on my X account at Owen Kelty for all the highs and lows of New York Knicks basketball. WFUV Sports is your home for all things Knicks.
When it was time to add
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to One on One, New York's longest sports call-in show. I'm Sam Giangrande, joined today by Maggie Danahy, and we have a special guest, longtime writer, soccer enthusiast, Leander Charlockins, and we're going to be talking about his new book that comes out on May 12th, The Long Game. I have it right here. Thank you for sending it, by the way. It was a great read. I I won't lie, I'm not much of a reader, but I couldn't put this down, and that says a lot. I don't like to read, but I love soccer, and this made me want to read more. So, we have a couple of questions for you about the process of the book and the contents of the book. So, let's get right into it. I thought the biggest question that I took away, at least from the process of it, besides this being a World Cup year, especially where it's hosted in the United States, what brought you to want to write this book? Like, why now?
Well, first of all, I'm very flattered that I may have turned a non-reader into a reader, so that's a win right off the bat. Obviously, why now is because the U.S. is about to play a World Cup on home soil for the first time since 1994, so that's a big deal, right? But also, there's something really interesting going on with this team, where the U.S. was a non-factor in international soccer from 1950 to 1990, and arguably before that as well. They played in the very first World Cup in 1930. Um, Made this run to the bronze medal. They came third at that World Cup, but if we're honest, that's partly because a lot of the big soccer countries didn't bother to travel all the way to Uruguay because they're like, it's too far away for this weird new tournament called the World Cup. We can't be bothered. So the field wasn't necessarily as strong as it could have been back then. And then in 1950, the U.S. doesn't do a whole lot at the World Cup, to be honest, but they have this really fluky win over England, which is the world power at the time. And so that's still considered one of the all-time great upsets. And after that, the U.S. doesn't make it back to the World Cup until 1990, right? They have this 40-year drought. Um, and the first time they're back, they're not competitive at all. They get just rinsed by Czechoslovakia in the first game, 5-1, and they go out of that tournament with a big wake up call. Then the next World Cup in 1994 is in the United States, and they survived the group stage, much to their relief, because they didn't want to become the first nation to ever get knocked out before the elimination rounds. As the World Cup host. Nobody had ever done that before, so that was the big objective. But ever since then, they've been kind of an up and down team. They'll have a good World Cup, a bad World Cup. Never have they done better than a quarterfinal place, which was in 2002. Um, but usually, if they make it to the round of 16, that's a pretty good World Cup. But what you're seeing now with this team is there's more talent on it. There's more pedigree on it. You've got these guys playing for some of the world's leading clubs, for AC Milan and Premier League teams, and just there's a lot of depth on this team that the U.S. has never really had before. They have a world famous coach in Mauricio Pochettino who has coached all of these major European teams and who's a really interesting guy. He's Argentinian. He believes that lemons absorb negative energy. He believes that in this thing that he calls universal energy, which is that every player has this aura that sort of shows him because Pochettino, has sort of learned how to read these energies and manipulate them, which players are going to go well together. He's also a really modern coach, in addition to kind of this frou-frou stuff. But there's a lot of talent there, and there's a lot of expectations there now, being the home team. And so I thought this team was really compelling in and of itself, but also the backstory of this national team hasn't really been properly told up until now, and just how far these guys came from. There was one World Cup qualifying campaign in the 1970s where they actually didn't have enough players to field a full team. And this is a qualifier for the World Cup. This is a big, big deal. And they had to pull a guy from the stands just to have enough players on the field for a regulation game, which is insane. In the 1980s, the federation was so broke that the players were getting a per diem of $5 a day. And sometimes they were asked to forego their $5 just so they could afford to run training camp for one extra day, right? The national team was uncompetitive. Guys were turning down the chance to play for the U.S. all the time because it just wasn't worth their effort or taking time out of their jobs. And to have gone from there just in the span of 40 years to a place where I don't think the US is going to win the World Cup, but they could be competitive at it and they could make a deep run. I mean, that tends to happen with home teams. They get a real bump from having the home crowd behind them. And that story is really remarkable, just how they got here. So that's what I thought was worthy of the book length treatment.
When I was reading it, I thought the biggest thing I took away was history. This is the history of the team, but now how history is being rewritten for the national team. And a lot of people would say this is the best it's ever been. This is the new golden age of the team. So that's always what I thought. I took away like this is history, but now history is going to be rewritten this summer for this team. So we'll see how that goes. My next question I had was there any moments when you were writing this, if you felt more like a fan of either the team or the sport over being an author, or the other way around? If you said, I need to only be strictly an author or a writer in this when writing this.
It's a good question because there's this age-old rule that there's no cheering in the press box, and you're supposed to be completely neutral, and you're not allowed to certainly root for a team sort of openly. Although this is a very American thing. When you cover a World Cup, and I'm about to cover my fourth, you will see that different cultures have sort of different rules for themselves, and you will see reporters just wearing like fully the uniform of the team that they cover in the press box, and they're just standing and shouting and cheering, which is inconceivable in the United States. But so you have to keep that detachment, right? And what happens as a reporter is you start rooting for the story and you start rooting for the most interesting outcome that you can write about. But I will say that this is a really charming team in a lot of ways. There's just a lot of players on it who are interesting and who are affable. And like, I was telling about all the ways that Pochettino is kind of weird. He's also a really nice guy. He's really pleasant. Like he's really open with reporters and he checks in on you and all the rest. So you do wind up wanting good things to happen to them, right? Especially when you've sort of followed that progression from a young team that took the place of this veteran core that had failed to reach the 2018 World Cup, which was the first time in since 1986 that the U.S. hadn't made the World Cup. And so this really young team comes in, a bunch of teenagers, and sort of watching them grow and step into those roles and step into that void and form this formidable national team that is probably certainly more talented than we've ever had. And if they reach their ceiling this summer, better than any we've ever had. So you wish them well because they're a good bunch of dudes, and that's as important, I think, as the soccer.
I definitely agree with like being in the press box. If I even smile, I think sometimes I get scared of being kicked out. And I know, Maggie, you just got to your first reporting and being in the press box. So, I mean, you can share your experience with that. I know, at least for me, sometimes it's hard to crack a smile in there.
Yeah, I like try to be as professional as possible, but it is interesting when you go from a team that I was doing Gotham in the NWSL and I'd been rooting for them. Obviously, I'm from New Jersey. So then when it switches to, no cheering in the press box, you have to be really professional. And it's like Sam said, like it's like scared to even crack a smile at like, when Roosevelt scores like a huge goal and you saw her score in the World Cup and then you're like, oh, like strictly professional. So I know that feeling. Sam does as well.
I
I'll
think,
add that in
no, sorry.
2010 at my first World Cup in South Africa, my country, I was born in the Netherlands, was in the
Mhm.
World Cup final.
Yeah.
I was at that game. So the Dutch had not been to a World Cup final in my lifetime. So I'm sitting there in this incredibly tense game. And I was
Yeah.
working for ESPN at the time, and my boss was sitting next to me. So it was like extra no cheering in the press box. And it was absolutely excruciating just sitting there because also like it was a really, really ugly physical game. One of the Dutch players like karate kicked a Spanish player in the chest and for which he inexplicably was not sent off. And the Dutch actually lost that game. So that was the greatest test of my resolve as a professional reporter.
I
Yeah.
don't know how you couldn't show any emotion after that Iniesta goal. If that was, I'm Italian. If I saw Italy
I was
lose
gonna
the World
say
Cup
if that was
final,
Italy for
I would be
Sam.
shaking, and I don't know how like to be able to keep that composure. Like at least for me, that's I don't know how you could do that. That'd be a very big struggle, at least for me.
Going into the next question, I want to ask you, what was the most challenging part about writing this book?
The difficulty with such a sprawling story, right? It's like how do you kind of frame what you're going to focus on because you can't tell every bit of the national team
Mm.
and its history. Otherwise, it's going to be a 5,000-page book, right? And I don't think anybody's picking that up or getting through that. So I really had to kind of focus on what I thought was the most interesting and the most relevant history to where the team is now going into this World Cup. And so I really fixated on the period from 1983 onwards. And the reason is that in 1983, US soccer was so broke that it was barely playing one game a year, if it was playing any games at all. It just couldn't afford to play more games. And so at the same time, the old North American Soccer League, which had had its heyday in the late 1970s when Pelé was here, when Beckenbauer played in that league, when Quinalha played, Johan Cruyff, all these sort of great stars of their age had played there in the 70s, early 80s. And then by 1983, that league was dying. And so they kind of got together, the league and the federation, and they came up with this idea that what they would do is they would enter the US national team into the league as a franchise. If you know a little bit about soccer, you know that there's two distinct things. There's club soccer, which is like the Yankees and the Lakers and whatever, and then there's international soccer, which is more like the Olympics, where you're playing for your national team, and those things don't cross over, right? Players will play for their country and for their club, but so this was a really weird thing to do to enter a national team into a club competition. They called it Team America. They played out of Washington D.C and they were entered into the NASL, and the whole thing was just a disaster. They first of all, some of the national team stars didn't want to play for Team America because they're like, I'm on the Cosmos. Why would I do that?
Mhm.
Which is honestly fair enough. And they came dead last. They scored the fewest goals, and the team sort of folded after one season. The NASL went down the next year, so the whole thing was a mess and just a terrible failure. But at least it was an attempt to turn around the national team program and to reboot it and to kind of re-energize the entire thing. Um, and so that for me is really where the modern era starts. So to answer your question, it was kind of hard to figure out where do I begin and where do I really focus this story because there's so much of it, right? The national team has played thousands of games. It's like, okay, which ones do you pick out and say this one's relevant, this one's not? So it was really, which is a nice problem to have as a writer, that there's so much material that you have to pick and choose. But so that took a little bit of figuring out to like, it was like, okay, here's what I'm gonna frame out for the arc of my story.
Yeah, and then going off of that, you talked about a little bit like how when you decided where you were going to start, like the research for the book, were there any other significant takeaways from that research process?
What's really interesting is how cyclical the history of the national
Hmm.
team is and how much history just keeps repeating itself. How often, for instance, the Federation decides that, you know, what we really need right now is we need an American coach who understands the
Hmm.
American game and who gets the nuances of a very complex soccer scene because other countries don't have pay for play travel youth soccer. Other countries don't have college soccer, right? The way the game is structured in this country is totally different from the way it is elsewhere. So every now and again, the Federation will say, what we need is someone who's been in the American game their whole careers and who understands it. And inevitably, when they decide that the national team has hit some kind of ceiling, they'll go, oh no, actually, what we need is we need the most famous foreign coach that we can find, like the most highly qualified foreigner that we can find, because they've been steeped in the game since they were children and they just understand it on a more visceral level. And the way that we've kind of flipped back and forth between those two, it's happened like 4 or 5 times now. You know, before Pochettino, there was Jurgen Klinsmann, who was a famous German coach, and before him, it was Bora Milutinovic, who was a famous Serbian coach. And before that, it was Alkis Panagoulias, a famous Greek coach. And we just keep sort of alternating between those things, which is interesting to see. And also, how often World Cup campaigns are ruined by bad chemistry, and how easy you see that a locker room can fall apart, and that a team either, because World Cups are these really, really intense pressure cooker environments, right? Teams together for 4, 5, 6 weeks, and the pressure is enormous. And like, if chemistry is good going in, they can spend those weeks in isolation with each other, like getting really close, and it becomes like an asset to them on the field. But if it, you know, like the whole thing can explode, right? And before long, you've got like these bickering factions within the team that are just at each other's throats all the time. So you see that repeating itself again and again, which makes for very juicy copy if you're writing a book about the national team, say.
I definitely do agree with that. I think compare some big national team meltdowns to a more, if we focus on our sport, when the US was in Paris for the Olympics with basketball, you just saw how you have all these players who on like during the NBA season, they're supposed to hate each other, but then when they all pick up the American flag, they all love each other. Their chemistry is all joined together. So I really do agree with that. You have to get that perfect thing chemistry, but I mean, it does make a good story when you kind of have that meltdown. But we're going to focus a little away from the writing process now to more of the content of the book. And the first thing I thought of was you kind of hinted at before. How important do you think for U.S. soccer it was when the USA beat England in the 1950 World Cup, if you think it shows any major importance for the history of this team?
That upset kind of was like a little island just in a sea of dysfunction, right? At the 1948 Olympics, they had just gotten beaten, and then they didn't make it back to the World Cup for another 40 years. So that win over England really didn't do much for the larger sweep of American soccer history, unfortunately for them, because like they didn't follow it up with anything. There's the most interesting thing about that win is what happened to the goal scorer, Joe Gaetjens, who is this Haitian American dishwasher in Colombia, who's the son of this prominent family in Port-au-Prince in Haiti. Gets some kind of scholarship from the Haitian government to go study accounting at Columbia University. There's no record that he ever actually enrolled, and he starts playing sort of amateur soccer around New York City, and he winds up being one of the last players added, even though he never tried out. Like days before the World Cup, they go down to Brazil. He scores this famous goal against England. And after that, he has sort of a brief professional career in France, but he's mostly injured. And then a few years later, he disappears. And it turns out that he was murdered by the Haitian dictator because he was a member of this family that was sort of politically well connected. And the dictator couldn't get his hands on any of Joe Gaetjens' family members that he really wanted to get a hold of. So he sort of rounds up Joe, and he is almost certainly killed in a notorious prison. And it becomes this mystery for like decades and decades and decades that we've only recently sort of figured out what happened to him. So that's sort of the main takeaway of that 1950 World Cup is kind of this mystery surrounding the goal scorer for the U.S. because very, very little attention was paid at the time, because in 1950 soccer just wasn't relevant. Soccer had this sort of golden age in the U.S. in the 1920s and early 30s, when the American Soccer League, one of the 3 different iterations of that league, was quite successful for a while and paid so much more money than the English and Scottish leagues did that they were poaching players from over there all the time. And so for a little while, the U.S. had some of the best players in the world before that league was killed off, like so many efforts at American professional soccer, by dysfunction and infighting, and ultimately by the Great Depression. But so 1950, the game has kind of not fallen apart exactly, but it's become this regional thing. And there was only one American reporter who was even at that game, Dent McSkimming, his name is, which is fantastic. And because he was there on holiday and he covered it for the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, and lots of wire services that were covering this game or that sort of took reports on this game actually thought the 1-0 score was a typo and that it must have been 1-10 to England and that somebody like dropped a one or something, that there was some kind of error in the way this game was transmitted. So it didn't make much by way of waves, unfortunately.
Going into like another, why do you think the U.S. men's national team went through a dark age? Thank you.
So it's a combination of things that during sort of these really crucial years when the 1960s, 1970s, 1980s, when the NBA was taking off, the NFL was taking off, and all of these baseball was getting bigger and bigger, and all of these sports were cementing themselves in the American mainstream as television came along. And was really kind of changing the game for visibility for these sports. Soccer was kind of nowhere. You had, as I mentioned, the North American Soccer League was briefly a thing, but it was really more of a fad while Pele was there. Soccer just wasn't visible and it wasn't popular. There's a bunch of different theories for why it's taken so long for American soccer to catch on domestically. One of them is that, which I think holds a lot of water, is that when immigrants came here, they were so eager to prove to their new friends, immigrant kids, right, that they belonged and that they were one of them, that they would ditch soccer because soccer was sort of the old country sport, right? And that they would take up baseball or basketball or football at one of the American sports to prove that they were Americans now. And so at the same time, what you saw that without a major national league for most of those decades, that soccer became this kind of regional thing where you would have these ethnic leagues, as they called them, where like New York City would have a league where like the Greek Americans would be the name of one team, and then there'd be Celtic would be the name of another team, right, which would be all Irish or all Scottish players. And so it became this thing that people used to kind of keep their connections to the homeland, but that made it really hard to make fans, right? And to kind of convince Americans that, or at least people who'd been here for more generations, that this was a sport they should be paying attention to. Soccer was just small time. And so that means you don't have a very big pipeline of players that you're developing. And so inevitably your national team's not going to be very good.
What you just described is basically my dad. He's a father of two Italian immigrants. He can tell me that Pele played for the New York Cosmos, but then everything from there to from then in between until the 1994 World Cup, he couldn't tell me anything about soccer, but he can tell me a lot about baseball and how good the NFL was. But that whole thing of soccer was just gone, which just leading to my next question was how important for not just the national team, but for the fans was the 1994 World Cup, which speaking of my dad, he was at one of the games. I think it was the semifinal against, it was Italy at Giant Stadium, I think against Bulgaria, if I'm right. If that is the game, I know he was at that semifinal, but how important for the fans and the team do you think hosting that World Cup was?
That was enormous because it put soccer back on the map. And that World Cup kind of changed everything for the sport here because this was soccer's comeback. There was no professional league at the time. The NASL goes under in 1984, and Major League Soccer doesn't get started until 1996, right? So part of the deal with the U.S. getting the 1994 World Cup and getting to host it was that they would start a new outdoor professional league, which eventually leads to Major League Soccer. The success of that World Cup was a little bit of a gamble because U.S. soccer initially was going to play it in smaller stadiums and in smaller towns because they just weren't sure that anybody was going to come. While FIFA for years had sort of the global governing body of soccer had resisted the idea of bringing the World Cup to the U.S. because they just weren't sure that it was going to come off, and they don't want to play a World Cup in front of empty stadiums. They were finally convinced by the 1984 Olympics in L.A. when the semifinals and final of that tournament drew huge crowds to the Rose Bowl, 90, 100,000 people. And they're like, okay, maybe there's enough people interested in soccer in the United States to play the World Cup there. They did a poll It was about a month before the 94 World Cup, asking Americans, what is the World Cup and where is it going to be played? And they found that something like 80% of Americans 1 month before that World Cup didn't know where it was and didn't know that it was about to be in their own country, right? So in that month, in that span of time, everything changes for soccer because by the time the US makes it through that group stage, all these guys, they're rock stars, right? Tony Miola and Alexi Lalas and Kobe Jones and all these players out of nowhere become stars. Every game just about is sold out. That World Cup still holds the record for highest average attendance and highest total attendance, even though that was a 24-team World Cup. And pretty soon it was expanded to 32 teams and now to 48 teams. Tickets were priced pretty aggressively at the time. So they really took a leap and said, we're just going to make a bet that actually people will get into soccer once the World Cup is here and once they realize what a big deal it is. And it was, and it just kind of changed the landscape forever.
I think when it comes to Americans, if you say the word big, bold, and you give them like these huge like description words, it gets them very hyped up, especially when you bring in the patriotic sense of the tournament. But going from a high of the team to now low, why do you think in 2018 the US just they couldn't make it to the tournament that year?
So to double back a second to what you were saying before, speaking of big and bold, there's an argument to be made that this 2026 World Cup is not just going to be the biggest sporting event of all time because there's 104 games over 39 days, which is a way bigger footprint than even the Olympics, right? It's going to consume an entire continent. And I don't think Americans are fully realizing what's about to hit them just yet, just as they didn't in 1994. But this will arguably be the biggest event that mankind has put on. And I know that sounds hyperbolic, but I genuinely can't think of an example. There's going to be something like 6.5 million tickets to these games. Like, can you think of anything that's ever been done that has drawn that many people? Because I can't, right? And then to answer your question on 2018, what you saw is kind of that qualifying for a World Cup is really hard, right? And the fact that the US had done it 90, 94, 98, 2002, 2006, 2010, 2014, that was a run that was longer than just about any country had ever put together. Even like some of the really big countries in the world, they miss World Cups. You probably don't want to talk about this, Sam, but Italy is about to miss its third straight World Cup, right? And Italy
Torture
is
for me.
a four-time world. Sorry, Italy's a four-time World Cup champion, right? It happens. And I think what you had there was a perfect storm of a coach in Jurgen Klinsmann who had really strange methods and alienated a lot of his players. You had a team that was kind of caught between generations. Landon Donovan and Clint Dempsey were aging out. Christian Pulisic and the new generation weren't quite ready yet. A few really fluky results. On the final day of qualifying, the U.S. had to not lose against a Trinidad and Tobago team that had already been eliminated and that was playing in front of like 1,500 fans on like this swampy field, and they scored these two weird goals that maybe Tim Howard, the goalkeeper, wouldn't ordinarily let in. At the same time, two other games had to basically be upsets, and all of that had to conspire for the U.S. to get knocked out, right? And all of those things did. I think going into that game, ESPN's kind of advanced stats unit estimated that the U.S. had a 93% chance of qualifying for the World Cup, and then they didn't, right? So there was a lot of stuff going on there. There was an unhappy locker room, would you believe it? By that time, Bruce Arena had come in as like the interim head coach, taking over from Klinsmann, who'd been fired. But that whole campaign was a big mess, and they finally ran out of luck in World Cup qualifying.
All right, one final question we have. Do you think, is this the best the U.S. men's national team have ever been before going into a World Cup?
This is the most talented the U.S. national team has ever been before a World Cup. You've got Tyler Adams, who's one of the best holding midfielders in the Premier League. You've got Fuller and Balogun, a striker in French Ligue 1, from Monaco, who's on fire. Christian Pulisic, ironically, is perhaps the best player the U.S. has ever produced. He's also in a very deep slump at the moment. He hasn't scored in 16 straight games for Milan, even though he was their leading scorer Last year, you've got Weston McKennie, who's arguably the most valuable player on Juventus, which is one of the juggernauts of the Italian league. This is a really good and talented and deep team. If you would have asked me this question in the fall, I would have probably answered it differently, because in September, October, November, the U.S. went on a run where they had 5 straight games against World Cup qualified teams, and they won 4 of them, and they tied the other. And they were looking really strong at the time. Everything was flowing, everything was working. And then they played again in March, and they lost to Portugal and they lost to Belgium, which was a little bit deflating. So now we're kind of like, we're not really sure where this team is. Like, they most definitely have bigger names playing for bigger clubs than they've ever actually had. But World Cups always tend to be these kind of like one-off supernova moments where like some team will catch lightning in a bottle, and you never know what team that is going into the World Cup. They have all the pieces, they have all the ingredients. They got a pretty favorable draw. They play Paraguay, Australia, and Turkey in the group stage, and they really only need to win one of those games to make it through as one of the 3 best teams in the group. Would be better for them going into the knockout stages to win 2. I think that's very doable. Like, it's all there for them, but now they have to perform in like these little 90-minute segments that these 4-year buildups kind of boil down to.
Speaking of those games in March, I was in the press box for the one against Portugal, and I got to speak to McKinney and Pulisic. And I think I agree with you. Just because they're playing for big teams, it doesn't equate to results. You have to have that team chemistry and make sure you don't have those meltdowns. But unfortunately, I think that's all the time we have for this interview. If we do more, you have no reason to buy the book, but I think you should. Once again, I have it right here. Comes out May 12th, the day after my birthday. So this was a nice little birthday surprise for me. But thank you so much for the interview. And this was One-on-One, New York's longest running sports call-in show.
We have the Avs and the Wild. We have the Knights and the Ducks. That's all in the West. And we have the Sabres and the Canadiens and the Canes and the Flyers in the East. And so far, we have Avs Wild. We have Colorado leading 2. We have in Game 3 is tonight at 9 p.m. We have Knights leading 2-1 for the Ducks. The next game is tomorrow at 9:30 p.m. The Sabres Canadiens. Next game is tomorrow at 7 p.m. The series is tied currently. And then we have the Canes and the Flyers with a game tonight at 6 p.m. And Carolina is leading 3-0. So if they win the game tonight, they're on to the 3rd round.
They're 7-0 in the playoffs so far.
I can't talk about it. I can't talk about it. Like, genuinely, actually, let's start with that one because I need to get it over with. I can't like, it makes me so mad. As like a D1 Philly hater, just Philly the city hater.
What do you have against Philly?
All of their sports teams.
All of their sports teams. Not even just the sports teams. I honestly don't even get that upset with like the teams and the players on the teams. I am just so upset with the fans. Like, they just like really are. That's very irritating.
That's fair.
So I'm like, so it's so weird for me to be like, I'm rooting for Philly in this situation, but I cannot root for the Canes. That's just not gonna happen, I fear. But what are you guys feeling? What are you guys thinking?
This series has put me to sleep.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
The little I've watched of it is like not like it doesn't.
Okay,
it
not
doesn't
entertaining.
Move me. It doesn't move me.
Okay, I will say, because they've had like weirdly, like, I think 2 of the 3 games were on days where it was the only game playing. Like, so I was like, okay, I guess I'm just gonna watch this because, like, what else am I gonna do tonight? It's finals week, and at night is when I relax and I don't do my studying, and I procrastinate my work. And so I'm like, okay, there's only one thing to watch because, like, they're the only ones playing. So I actually have watched at least 2 of the 3 games, and I will say it makes me hopeful for the downfall of the Canes. Even if they make it through this round, it makes me hopeful that the Canes won't win the cup, because the Flyers have actually been, I feel, giving them a run for their money despite the scores. You may be looking at the scores and you may be looking at, like, the play-by-play, and you may be like, Emma, what are you talking about?
What are you talking about? Yeah.
But if you watch the games, the Flyers are, like, genuinely, like, playing well. It's just the Canes, it's like their thing. It always works out for them. And it, like, seriously, like, I'm like, I was talking about this on our episode of 5 on 3 that we recorded yesterday. I was like, the Flyers, like, have been giving the Canes a run for their money, and also on the deserve to win meter, I would argue that they deserve to win at least one of the 3 games, if not 2 of them.
I mean, you can make an argument for game 2 because that went to overtime. Like,
yeah, no, but like
the other 2, I'm like,
but like still, I feel like they've been playing well. It's like it's just, it always works out for the Canes. That's kind of all I have to say about it. So, I mean, if you guys are all right with it, we can.
I mean, to be honest, that's kind of the same thing that Grace was saying. This series has honestly put me to sleep. It's been relative to, like, it's honestly been like a lullaby in some ways. Like, it's literally like every time I watch the Canes and the Flyers, at least throughout the first 3 games, it's just like, what am I watching?
Yeah, and, like, it's not like, I mean, obviously the Avs are, leading, and the Wild haven't won one in their series, but that one's still more interesting to me because I feel like the Wild has given
Game
the Avs,
1 was insane.
Yeah.
Game 1 was insane. The Wild has given the Avs far more, like a run for their money than the Flyers have with the Canes, even though I again would argue that the Flyers did give the Canes a run for their money a little bit. But we could just move on to that one because crazy stat, there were like 14 different goal scorers in that first game as Wild.
Yeah.
Which is just ridiculous to me.
And it was 15 goals scored in total. The Avs won 9-6.
Yeah. And the only person, I believe the only person to double up was Makar.
Yeah. And those are 2, like, solid goalies.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
oh, yeah.
That doesn't happen when you have solid
goalies.
It's like, what's going on? They're both having terrible nights, but
yeah.
I mean, it's 2 great teams.
It makes me sad, and, like, I think, was it, like, Trey who was saying it yesterday? I think it was Trey. Like, I want to see the Wild succeed, but also I want the Avs as the, like, as my winner.
Yeah,
I want the Avs as my winner, and
I agree with that.
And I can't like just be like, ooh, I want the Wild for, like, the plot. I want the Avs, and so in this situation, it's like, it's so hard. Because
I wouldn't mind McKinnon getting another ring.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. It just makes me sad for Quinn Hughes. Like, one of the first times I've ever seen him crack a smile, other than winning Olympic gold, was when the Wild moved on from round 1. And it was so cute about how, like, I was talking about this yesterday. It was so like wholesome, the way that he was like, he waited until all of his teammates were out on the ice, and then he, like, cracked a smile. And it was like barely a smile, but for Quinn Hughes it was like,
that's, like, strange
grinning
to me.
ear to
I
ear.
would be, like, sobbing, honestly.
I know.
That boy's
I
never
know.
seen the playoffs, and they've,
Yeah.
I don't really think people thought the Wild were going to win the first round.
No, seriously. And especially because they had Wallstedt, rookie goalie, as the goalie for that game. His reaction is how I would have reacted. He was, like, jumping up and down. He was like, yes, we did this.
Grace, can I ask you a question? You said Quinn Hughes has never seen the playoff. Was he hurt during that 2024 series against Edmonton?
Oh, you're right. He has seen the playoffs. I forgot about that. That seems like ages ago, considering what we've seen from the Canucks in recent years. But, like, he's never seen, like.
Well, I'm also just so.
He's never been on a really, like, stunning.
Yeah. I'm just so used to him,
that.
like, not him as a player falling short, but, like, his team falling short and, like, it affecting him in that way.
Yeah.
So it's not surprising to, like, be like, has he seen playoffs?
Yeah.
But no, I'm excited for that game tonight, 9 p.m. See if the Avs can make it 3-0, and we'll see if the Wild can put up a little bit of a fight. Which one do you guys want to go to next? Want to stay in the West?
I want to go back to the East. I want to talk a little bit about the Sabres because I know, and then I'll hand it back over to you guys. I know people that are both Sabres fans, and I know people that are both Canadiens fans, and I have been in conversation with both of them over the course of this series. Now, the thing is that those people that I know, they don't know each other personally. Like, these are just people that I know. So when I'm talking with them about the Sabres and the Canadiens, it's kind of like almost being like seeing how Sabres fans think and seeing how Canadiens fans think at the same time. But the Sabres, in my opinion, I actually picked them to win the Eastern Conference. Yes, I know that the Hurricanes are undefeated. I know that the Hurricanes are 7-0. I know that, they've been taking an axe to anybody in their way. But I think that Buffalo is playing with, like, a magic that I haven't seen out of a team before for as long as I've watched the Stanley Cup playoffs for the better part of the last, let's say, 10 years.
Yeah.
I think that the Sabres and Tage Thompson, if I said his name right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I think that they are literally like trying to in some ways redeem the Bills for their loss to Denver in the AFC divisional round. Now, they are going to have a lot tougher road to go through. I mean, of course, they had to deal with the Bruins in the first round. Now they're dealing with Nick Suzuki and the Canadiens in the second round. But I think that Buffalo ultimately wins that series, but I think they win it in 6, but if it goes 7, I will not be surprised.
Yeah, I honestly, like, I have the Sabres moving on to the Canes, but I have the Canes taking the East because
I would agree with that.
Like, as I said, like, earlier, and also I'm gonna quote, like, a reporter that I was, like, listening to the game the other day, and she literally went, the Canes just, like, it just works out for them. Like, it just works out for them. And, like, it really just does. So I can't, like, logically speaking, I just can't think that the Sabres are going to beat the Canes. However, I would love it if they did. And we were talking about it yesterday. We were talking about how if it was Avs-Sabres, like, final, that would be such a tough, like, who do you root for? Because even though I want the Avs as my cup champions, like, seeing this run for the Sabres is just, it's so, like, emotional, and, like, specifically for the fans. Like, I just really, a good fan story, like, always gets me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I feel like that would really be tough for me to be like, who do I want to win in this scenario? What do I want to see out of this? I will say I have a soft spot for the Canadiens, so if they moved on over the Sabres, I wouldn't be that upset. As I said I feel like I've said this a few times, but the first game I ever went to was a Caps Canadiens game, so they did beat the Caps, but they're like I don't know, they're connected to me in some way, so I'm like I wouldn't be upset about that. But yeah, it's definitely been interesting. I would say let's move on to our final series going on. Knights Ducks. Does anyone want the Knights?
To be honest,
do I
don't
want them to
the
win, or
Knights.
do I think they're gonna win?
Do you want them to win?
No.
Okay.
Do I want the?
I think they're going to.
I think they're going to.
To be honest, I've never understood, for as long as the Knights have been around, why there is literally so much hatred for the Knights. I just do not understand it.
Because they've existed for, like, how many years has it been? Under 10.
About
and
9,
they've already
yeah.
won. They've been to a couple of Western Conference Finals. I'm like, I'm done. I'm kind of over that.
Yeah.
'Cause my own team doesn't really do that these days.
Yeah, they
so.
were founded in 2017. So
yeah, they've
9
won
years.
the cup. They've been to at least 2 Western Conference Finals that I can remember.
They went to the Stanley Cup final in their inaugural season.
Yeah, like that's just ridiculous.
I
also,
feel like
I just don't like Vegas. Sorry.
I also
as a city.
I also just don't like Carter Hart.
Well,
And
yes,
and
that
like,
is the biggest reason. But
that's
like,
the biggest reason.
I just I'm just like, they don't inspire me either. Like Mark
Yeah.
Stone like doesn't move me.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I'm not a Golden Knights fan, but I do love Jack Eichel.
That's
okay.
That's
That's
fine.
fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. This has been a very interesting series for me to watch. I always make things about the Caps, so you know I have to make it about the Caps here too. We have Nick Dowd on the Knights, and we have my personal father, John Carlson, on the Ducks, traded from the Caps earlier this season. Both of them traded, I think within a few days of each other. So it's just been very interesting to watch them at opposing sides instead of alongside each other. It's been kind of sad, but I personally am going for the Ducks because I feel like the Carlson trade was harder on the Caps, and I want to see him succeed. And also, Carter Hart. I feel like I don't have to elaborate on that.
By the way, bad person, obviously. Not a very good goalie
No, but he was amazing in game 2 of this series.
But some of these other games, I'm like, guys.
And I'm like, it makes me so upset that he's like been doing so well too. So that also just like I feel like hate fueled towards leaning towards the Ducks.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, in my own, I remember doing a bracket before it even started, and the Ducks, I had the Ducks literally losing in the first round. To be honest, I think a lot of hockey fans did. But after, well, first of all, Tristan Jarry couldn't hold his own in games 2, 3, or 4. But after, like, the Oilers lost the next 3 games, I was like, yeah, this is not going to go the Oilers' way. But I originally had the Sabres and the Oilers in the Stanley Cup final. I hope I can still have one of those right.
Yeah, I obviously in my final, I had the Avs and the Canes. But I will say, round 1, I got 4 of the 8 series completely correct, down to how many games it took. I got obviously the Avs and the Kings, and then the Canes and the Sens. I had the Avs and the Canes sweeping. But I had the Sabres in 6, and I had the Ducks in 6.
That's wild.
It is. It really is. Because, like, who is picking that? Who is picking that? I posted that, like, on, I think, my Instagram story because I was so proud of myself. I was like, wow, this is such a crazy take. And I think it was Tucker Austin who was like, this is an insane poll. Like, how did, like, nobody's guessing this.
Right.
But so happy to see them have at least moved on to round 2. Let's transition into our predictions now. I feel like obviously I've been very vocal about Avs over the Wild, and then I would like the Ducks over the Knights, but I really think it's gonna be Knights over Ducks. I'm gonna say Avs in 5. I'm gonna give the Wild 1 game, and then I'm gonna say Ducks. I'm gonna say Knights in 6. And then from the East, I'm going to say, just for, like, the emotional aspect of it, I'm going to say Sabres in 7. And then I'm going to say Canes in 4, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Give me Canes in 4.
Yeah.
What did you say for Avs Wild? 5?
I said
Avs
5.
in 5.
I'm giving the Wild 1
Okay.
game. I'm giving them 1 game. They've been playing really well. Like, I feel like they could do 1.
Canes in 4. Sabres in 6.
Okay.
Wait, I'm like blanking right now. Knights, give me Knights in 5, and Avs, I might take the sweep for the Avs. They're just that good.
Yeah.
Avs in 4.
Fair enough. I'll go from the second round all the way to the Cup final if that's okay. So
yeah, for sure.
I'll go, I already said Sabres in 7, Canes in 4. I just do not see Philly, like, even getting a game in at this point. I am with, well, to be honest, I'm going to be a little gracious to the Wild. I'm going to say Avs in 6. I'm going to say Avs in 6, and then I'm going to say Knights in 5. I'm just going to say Knights in 5, and then Avs, Knights. I always come back to the President's Trophies curse, but I'm going to say Knights in 7 if I'm right in the Avs and Knights. In the East for the Sabres and the Hurricanes, I am going to say Sabres in 6, therefore setting up a Sabres Golden Knights Stanley Cup final. And then from there, I'm going to say, I'll say Sabres in 7.
Sounds good.
Wow.
To cap it off with round 3 and final.
Oh boy. Okay, wait.
Quick round.
Okay, I have Knights and Avs next. Give me Avs in 6 to go to the final, and then Canes Sabres. I hate to do this. I'm gonna go Canes in 6, and then Canes Avs final. Avs in 6.
Interesting. Okay, I'm gonna go round 3. Avs Knights. I'm gonna say Avs in 5. The Knights have not been playing as well as the Wild, and if the Avs can do kill the Wild in 5 games, I think they can kill the Knights in 5 games. I'm gonna say Canes Sabres. I'm gonna say 5 realistically, Canes, but hopefully 6 still Canes. And then Avs Canes. I personally feel like this could go to 7 games.
Yeah.
And I would love that for a final. But I think that's all the time we have for this segment. So we're gonna go to break real quick, and then we'll come back for some more talk. Back with Derek and Sam.
Hi, soccer fans. Sam Giangrande here, your NYCFC beat reporter for the 2026 season, bringing all the soccer news here to WFUV. From Major League Soccer to the international stage, follow my X page at SamGGWFUV to see moments from each game and interviews with your favorite players and managers. From Yankee Stadium and Citi Field to the road of Etihad Park, follow me to see if New York City can get their second star.
For the 3rd straight year, Alex Palou will lead the IndyCar field to the green flag in the Sanzio Grand Prix on the Indianapolis Motor Speedway road course. Palou was the only driver to set a time in the 1-minute 9-second range during this morning's qualifying session. Qualifying was postponed yesterday due to heavy rains. Here's the champ, Alex Palou.
So very happy to get that number 10 on the pole once again here. Feels really, really good. The car was amazing. I think not everybody was running on the new alternate, so I know we're going to be on a small disadvantage on the race, but still happy that we start on the front row and see we can win that with that number 10.
Pato Award is second. Felix Rosenquist, Christian Lundgaard, and David Malukas round out the top 5. You can watch the Indy GP at 4:30 p.m. today on Fox. Bobby C. for Indy in 60. We'll keep it right here, folks, for our IndyCar Weekly segment. We have our Indianapolis correspondent, Aaron McAtee, with us via the hotline. Aaron is at IMS right now. Aaron, how's the weather today in Indy?
Hey, the weather's great. It was raining yesterday, but sunny today, about 70 degrees, so no complaints.
Nothing like the month of May in Indianapolis. Aaron, this is the fastest road course on the Indy circuit. Alex Palou, of course, is chasing number 4. So I'll ask you the big question. Will Alex Palou win his 4th straight Indy GP?
I mean, I think I'd be absolutely crazy to say no. So, yes, he probably will win another Indy GP.
That's really good for my fantasy team because Alex Palou has been the center of my fantasy team this year. I know some of the other drivers that are performing well. I was thinking about RLL coming into the weekend because that's a team that last year in the qualifying started 2-3. They had another good qualifying this morning with Louis Forster starting in this race. He'll be starting 6th, and Graham Rahal is 7th. So tell me a little bit about RLL.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've joked about this before. It seems like they always have the road course figured out. It was a few years ago when, they had trouble making the 500 and they were really fast at the road course. So for whatever reason, they have the road course figured out probably more than just about any team. So I definitely would not rule out Graham Rahal. Obviously Louis Foster, and I think Mick Schumacher is definitely getting up to speed as well.
That's fantastic to hear. Pato Award was off to a rough start coming into the weekend in terms of practice, and then all of a sudden kind of turned things on this morning. How do you see him running so far?
Yeah, I think Pato's always strong in the month of May, no matter what racetrack he's on. So I think this will be good momentum for the race that probably means the most for him. So hopefully I think he can get a good finish, and that'll set him up well for the big race in a couple weeks.
I got a chance to see Simon Pagenaud dominate in 2019, of course, sweeping both events in the month of May. We saw it last year with Alex Palou, simply dominant both on the road course and then winning his first Indy 500. I wanted to get your thoughts on how much this might set the tone for the Indy 500. Does it set the tone or does it not set the tone when it comes to winning the GP?
I think it does. I think, anytime you win at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, it's a big deal. So I think it kind of takes a little bit of a burden off your shoulders. You've already won there at least once, and maybe take a little bit of pressure off. But, come Memorial Day weekend, obviously it's a whole different environment and a whole different race. And, yeah, like I said, a whole different environment.
And our fans at home that are watching on the stream, they get a chance to actually see the visuals today. So I've got a beautiful Race 92 T-shirt on. I know that's your apparel company, Al Unser 1992. You just don't know what Indy means. But the reason why I'm actually using this as a segue is because the IndyCar series and a little bit of hot water this morning, I was curious if they have those shirts that are available for sale, since they ended up pulling them off the website, but they were selling a shirt briefly for the race coming up in D.C. that said "One Nation, One Race." A couple people obviously a little offended by the undertones. I was curious if at the track the shirt was still available, and if not, wanted to see what you thought about the marketing there, because maybe some bad publicity, but maybe it ends up being good publicity for the IndyCar series.
Yeah, no, I have not seen them. So if anyone sees them, they would probably be a collector's item at this point, but I think they've completely pulled them.
$50 T-shirt. You only have to go to Race 92 and get yourself one of these Al Unser shirts.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have some new Al Unser Jr. shirts as well. There's two that just dropped that are kind of retro designs, and they're probably my favorite that we've done so far, so check it out.
Very cool. Our Indianapolis correspondent Aaron McAtee here for IndyCar Weekly. We'll take a quick timeout on New York's longest-running sports call-in show.
Want to be part of the Ramley? It all starts here. I'm Nathan Rogers.
And I'm Kate Cox, and we are two of your hosts for On the Hill, WFUV's exclusive podcast for all things Fordham athletics.
From the field of Moglia Stadium to the hardwood of the historic Rose Hill Gym, we've got you covered with the ins and outs of Fordham sports.
Every week, every play, every round. Tune in weekly wherever you get your podcasts. This is On the Hill.
Welcome back once again to One on One. Again, if you want to call in and yell at any of us, 718-817-2750.
I want to get yelled at with some soccer stuff. I'd love that.
We just had a little. The show has been interesting. It's not your typical one-on-one. You don't have your normal
show.
We've had variety. We've had different people come on. We had Emma and Grace swap. Me and Sam produced a little bit. Everyone's been doing a little bit of everything.
Jack of all trades over here.
Yeah, Bobby Chaffardini. You're real jack of all trades. You're on the boards. But Bobby Chaffardini doing his. He came in because he was at Game 3 of the Knicks Sixers series. Came in and did his IndyCar stuff as well. We've a very good show. Very good show. We've done
everybody.
Exactly, a lot of different stuff for everyone.
Spread the love.
So. We're nearing the end. We've got about half an hour left. We're going to head into some World Cup preview. I started at the beginning of the show. We're going to go international. We're finally hitting that segment.
We're there.
And it's
We're going global, man.
We're finally going global. So
we're reaching
Sam,
out everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. Sam, please, I know you're our soccer expert, so if you'd want to just give us a preview of what we're looking for at the World Cup.
Lay it out, man.
I think the biggest thing with this World Cup that I wanted to talk about, we kind of do a general predictions. I want to talk about right now. You guys heard our interview with Leander Sharwakins with the U.S. men's national team has booked the hard game. That I think what I want to talk about today is where do we think this U.S. team's going to go? I think there's we were just talking about any publicity is good publicity. I'm not going to butcher the word because now
publicity.
There we go. Thank you, Ethan. But I think the U.S. men's national team, there's kind of the meme going on with calling Pulisic the LeBron James of soccer because of that Pawn Stars video. This is such a little random tangent. I tried so hard to find the jersey that was in that video because I wanted it so badly just to say this is the LeBron James of soccer like clip, but I couldn't find it. That's a little tangent. But I want to talk about the U.S. where we think they're going to go in this tournament. I think we were just saying this earlier behind the glass when we were on a break that this USA team, they need to go far. They need to make it past at least the round 16. They're on home soil for a majority of it. They're going to be... They have an easy group. I'll say the group now. They have Australia, who's ranked 27th in the world, which I won't say that's a little generous. Paraguay, which is 40th, which the USA did beat Paraguay in a friendly earlier in the year.
That is
and then
true.
Turkey in 22nd, and then the USA 16th. I think just based off that, they're the highest ranked team in the group. They should be topping this group, and they really shouldn't. Even if they get second, I don't think that's something you'd be proud for. I want to hear what you guys think, but I think the USA really should be striving for an upset right now.
You know, in some ways, when you talk about Team USA when it comes to soccer, and of course the United States, I'm sure, is the country we know best. I mean, after all, we live here, probably were born here, et cetera, et cetera. On a broader scale, when you talk about soccer, it's expected from the numbers that you just laid out that the United States should go further, like, you know, past round 16 or whatever. However, I do not hold that expectation when it comes to men's soccer for a number of reasons. For one thing, although soccer has been, let me be respectful to the world. Football.
There you go.
You can say football.
Yeah, as football has grown in popularity within the United States, I still do not believe that a majority of Americans are very interested in football as it is. Usually when it comes down to sports within America and within American bedrock, it's American football first and foremost, then maybe basketball, and then baseball has kind of fallen off to be generous, a little bit fallen off a cliff, but it's still considered America's pastime in many different retrospects. Football as it is on a global scale, I just do not see many Americans really being engaged or entrenched within football culture. So it would be nice if the U.S. went past round of 16, but given just the way that the U.S. is set up around sports, I just don't see it happening.
So this is an interesting article, and I always bring this up. Soccer now, or we'll say football, is the third most watched and biggest sport in the U.S.
Yep.
It overtook hockey and overtook baseball. It's number 3 now, but that gap between football and then basketball and American football, it's so wide.
It's huge.
It's massive, and it's a mix of a few things. One, the MLS as a league, it's very much growing. I'm very passionate about it. I tell everyone, please support your local MLS team. You say oh, why is it only Miami's getting like Messi and stuff, all these big players? Support your local MLS team. Go to the games. The tickets, I'm not saying they're cheap for everybody, but relatively they're $10-$20 a ticket. It's like baseball where it's a family outing. You can bring your family to go.
Yeah.
And if you support your local MLS team, I really do say it will help out a lot, and it will bring more media to your team. But it's a mix of that the thing is, most people watch European soccer. They're gonna watch the Premier League, the La Liga, Serie A, the Champions League, and that it kind of creates this paradigm, if you will. People are getting more and more into soccer, but it weakens U.S. soccer and domestically because people aren't fully watching the MLS.
Yep.
And that's also if you look at the U.S. men's national team, there's at most 2 MLS players. The goalkeeper would either if it's Matt Freese or Matt Turner, they're both MLS players.
Yeah.
It's where you want these players to be homegrown MLS players who then get sent off to the bigger leagues, which is totally respectable. But it's weird that most of these players are not even from MLS teams. They kind of start off in Europe, so it kind of makes it hard to have your homegrown players you're going to support, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and then also not to mention what I was talking about in terms of football and the United States. I'm a big football guy, but I've often said when it comes to like my premier knowledge within the game of football, it namely rests within like the World Cup. Like the Premier League, I don't really watch all that often. I may watch it with like a friend if it's like one of the main things that are on. And then MLS sometimes I'll watch, but like my main area of expertise within the game of football lies within like the World Cup. It lies within Pele, it lies within Lionel Messi, it lies within Cristiano Ronaldo and all these historic big name football players, David Beckham, etc., etc. So I feel like in some ways I may be a little less qualified on the Premier Leagues and on MLS, but when it comes to like the World Cup, I feel like that's where I like shine, for lack of a better term.
I do think that's a lot of like the U.S. population. That's my point was saying, like, go like support your local clubs. It's a really big thing, and I think it helps also with like everyone's knowledge of the sport. Like, if you guys, you're seeing it at still a professional level. Like, you're seeing it at a top flight level. You're seeing it at the highest U.S. level. But going back to my question of the U.S., if we look back at their group, we'll end off with this before we go to our final segment, which I'm excited about.
So excited.
I'm very excited. Do you guys all think the USA will top their group? I'll say it once more: Australia, Paraguay, Turkey, and the USA. I actually do see an upset of the USA topping the group over Turkey, but it's going between the two of them. It's going to be either the USA tops it or Turkey. I want to ask you guys, Chloe, before we switch, where do you guys think they're going to where they'll end?
I think more than likely the United States will top Turkey. Now, just personally, I don't even know any players on Turkey. I'd have to like do some deeper diving into it, but I think that
they do have some dark horse players, I won't lie.
Heard. But I think that the United States will top Turkey if they end up playing each other.
Yeah, I think like we've been talking about, this newfound and this like growing of the American like football experience is gonna fuel them, and I think they should. I think based on like obviously the rankings that they obviously like they should be at the top at least, or like near the top. But I think, you know, as someone who's not super into soccer, but I think they should.
To close it out, Ethan, what you said that you don't know many players, I will say Turkey's best player is a young, I want to say 22, 23-year-old named Arda Güler, who does play for Real Madrid. So if you want to say they are arguably the most known and biggest team in football history, so they do have that.
I'd agree with that.
Hidden gem on their team, but I think that's going to do it for our soccer segment, but we're not going to go to a break. We're going right into, I think this has become my new favorite part of one-on-one. If it's I'm producing or if I'm in the studio here, no matter what, we've been doing it each time I've been on recently. We are going to Hi, My Name Is, which is the trivia game I created for the show. And I'll always say the rules just in case if this is your first time listening. I have 5 players. Each player has 5 questions. The first question is 5 points is the hardest, and then it goes down points, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, with the next one being the easiest. You have to respond with the response, hi, my name is, just like in Jeopardy. You will not get the points if you just say the player. Hypothetically, say if the player was David Beckham and we said, David Beckham, no points until you say, hi, my name is. On our leaderboard, we have Brendan with 20 points, Max with 17. So the winner of this game, they will be on the leaderboard. I'm going to have to try and sit sideways because we have, behind the glass, we have Grace and Emma, both on the producer mic.
They have a team. That's not fair.
They'll be the duo-ship, so they have to put their brain power together. But we have Ethan, Derek, Emma, and Grace as a team. We're going to go right into this.
I'm so excited.
First one, here we go. First question is, I have an iconic celebration.
Hi, my name is Ronaldo. Like,
no. So also one thing, you get one guess per round. So
that's my guess.
That's for the 5-pointer. That's your guess. So now we have Ethan and then Emma.
Hi, my name is Mbappe.
No.
Dang.
So Ethan, you get
Ronaldo's like the most iconic. Like,
I didn't say the most iconic. I said a iconic.
One
an iconic.
Well, I know. Yeah. Oh, the thinking cap is on.
Yeah, I don't know how much time I have, but
we do have time.
Yeah, we have.
If you want to,
you think through it out loud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say this game does get competitive.
Hi, my name is LeBron James.
No. So we'll go to the next one.
Okay.
Next question is, I have won the U19 Basketball World Cup.
Hi, my name is Wemby.
No. Frozen.
That's a good one.
That's a good one.
Hi, my name is Dirk Nowitzki.
No. So then we'll give it to Emma and Grace if you guys have a guess for the 4-pointer.
Can you say that clue again?
The second one is, so it's I have won the U19 Basketball World Cup.
Hi, my name is Cooper Flag.
No. So we'll go
He
to the
just
3-pointer.
turned 19, didn't he, though? Yeah.
Well, it'd be under 19, but so we'll go to the 3-pointer. I have played for only 2 NBA teams.
Oh,
there's a lot of players that fit that.
Yeah. Okay, well, thinking through it, they can't be like a recent rookie. They have to have debuted at least a couple years ago because they would have gotten traded
Only
or at least signed
2
somewhere else.
NBA teams.
2 teams. Okay.
Hi, my name is Michael Jordan.
No.
Oh yeah, he was.
Hi, my name is Jalen Brunson.
There we go for 3 points.
No.
So the other 2 I had was I led my team to the Eastern Conference Finals last season. I played at Villanova. But so obviously his. Do they also call it the mass celebration, or do they call it the 3-pointer one, like the
3-point? Yeah.
So this might just be a little insert. There's a player named Paulo Dybala, Argentinian, who played for Juventus for a very long time, won the World Cup in 2022. He has a celebration like this where he covers his face as well, which I think is the first one. So I'll put it down. Emma and Grace now have 3 points.
They should each get 1.5. So then
well, they're tag
They're a
teaming it
duo,
together.
yeah.
So yeah, it'll go 3 points to them.
Boo.
I will also say that I said it before Grace said it, and she was like, no, we gotta wait.
I mean, you obviously do want to wait, but like you want to.
I wanted to think about it.
You could also go risky and you try and go for more points, but
I'm so upset.
We'll go to the next one.
I'm so upset.
Next player. I have played 3 different sports in high school and was a lot better and more known for a different sport in high school than the one I play now.
Hi, my name is Aaron Judge.
Oh my God, 5 points off the bat.
I was gonna say
wow.
He was a 1,000-yard receiver in football. He was a center in basketball.
Wow, so that's 5 for you, Derek. That
I was gonna say
the fivers are rare. They're very. So I'll read off the rest of the ones they had. So I always say for this it might be a lot harder for these questions for me. Like, ooh, this is a hard one, but for someone who knows it very well, it becomes like a little easier. But so we had that. The 4-pointer one is I'm adopted. I don't know if that's.
Oh, I knew that. Yeah,
I did not know that.
I have my own fan group. This is a 3-pointer, which has a group name and specific seating area in the stadium.
The judges' chamber.
The judges' chamber. Yeah.
The number I wear is a palindrome 99. You can reverse the same number. I play in New York City.
Oh.
So right now our standings is
for you,
Emma
Mom.
and Grace. We have 3 points. Ethan still is 0, but there's still 3 questions left, and then Derek at 5 in the lead. So next one, and we can take a little bit if you guys want to think about it. We still have a good amount of time.
Yeah.
But so here's the next one. Though I play a different sport, I share an almost identical number to goals scored in a single season to Lionel Messi, where he scored 91. This one I had to research.
Okay, they don't play
Could you
soccer.
repeat that?
Yeah, of course.
But their number, okay.
Though I play a different sport, I share an almost identical number of goals scored in a single season to Lionel Messi, where he scored 91. It could be above, it could be below, but this person did not also score 91.
So they don't play soccer, but they score goals, and they
Hi,
scored
my name
nearly.
is Connor McDavid.
No, so Ethan, you're timed out for this one.
Wait, can I ask a clarifying question?
Yes, but I might not be able to clarify.
Okay, when you say goals, are you talking about like in the sport they're called goals, or just points in like general?
I won't fully clarify it. It's up to your interpretation. I'm using broader terms.
Okay.
But I'll leave it at that. The 5-pointers are the hard ones. We have to think on them.
Okay, what if someone scored like 90 runs in a season and it's baseball? Like
you're talking like RBIs, I'd assume.
No, like runs scored. Or RBIs. It could be either one.
There's a lot of thought that goes into this.
Yeah. Okay. So, they're not soccer, and I really doubt that you're picking someone who scored 90 points in basketball, because that's like one Bam game. Hi, my name is Bam Adebayo.
No, that would have been a generational shot. So, Emma and Grace, you guys can think for a little, or you can skip it or just throw out a guess if you have it.
Ethan, I really thought I had that.
I really wish there was a camera like showing behind the glass right now. Like,
No,
going
for
Can
back
you
and
say the
forth.
question again?
Yeah, I'll go for it again. Though I play a different sport, I share in almost identical numbers of goals scored in a single year to Lionel Messi, where he scored 91.
Interesting.
They are going back and forth.
I
on
really
that
should have
at
paid
this.
attention
I already
because
gave
it
my
said
pick.
it said
but
points in
it
a
wasn't
season.
right.
It's got to be someone popular. And if it's hockey, I don't know it because I'm just not a hockey guy.
I do pick popular athletes. I will say that.
Yeah.
It will never be I'm gonna pick some random like G League player for the Nats. Like, oh, that would be perfect yet, really. Like I do go with the bigger names. In
Mac
sports.
McClung. No.
No.
I thought we could.
Okay, I'm gonna take a swing because we're having a really hard time with this. Who is Alexander Ovechkin?
That's not the hi my name is.
There was no hi my name is. But
My bad.
that is not. Bo, if I didn't say anything, I won't do mine.
Hi, my name is Alex Ovechkin.
No, unfortunately no. So we will go to the 4-pointer. At one point,
Genuinely, hold on, sorry.
No, it's
I
alright.
just had to say it because if it was him and I didn't get it on the 5-1 and we had no other guess, I was like, I have to do it.
Okay, so we'll go. That's the thing. You kind of want to be risky with these. It's also
Yeah.
for pride. Like
That's why I'm just guessing immediately.
Yeah. But so next one is at one point I held 61 official records in the sport I play for 4 points.
I was this close to saying Michael Phelps just based on that, but he doesn't score points. Unless you point, I don't know how swimming works.
It's like a whole point system. Also, even though he's like the biggest Olympian, I did not put like sweaty questions.
No.
And I already
Okay.
gave my pick, so I.
Well, no,
Wait.
this
Oh,
is
no,
the new
this
question.
is the next
Oh,
one.
this
So
is the
you-
next
like,
one.
You're
Okay.
back in it for.
Oh,
It's just
okay.
each.
Can you say it
sub-question.
again?
Yeah. At one point, I held 61 official records in the sport I play.
61 records.
61 records.
That's 61 records.
Hi, my name is Wayne Gretzky.
Yes, Ethan.
I was gonna
for
say
4
that.
points. Oh my god. I think Emma's like
Emma's
about to
distraught.
cry. I think she was about to go for it right when you did.
Emma's
Ethan.
distraught.
I literally said, sorry, Grace. I literally said, I was like, I think it's either like Ovi or I think it's hockey, and then it would obviously be Gretzky if it wasn't Ovi. And Grace was like, I don't think it's hockey.
I think there's feuds going on behind the glass about.
I'm just
the
getting
answers.
bulldozed here because Emma's just yelling at
We
me.
don't
even
know
though
the
I got
full
a
side of the
answer last
story,
time, so.
but
yeah.
But so standings are: we have Emma and Grace at 3, Ethan for 4, Derek at 5.
I'm still winning, so
yeah. But I will say,
Oh, now the fifth one that you asked for 5 points, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
so he scored 92 goals.
Yep, 92
So you beat him by
goals.
1.
Yep.
So Messi's was in the 2011-2012 season where he scored 91 goals throughout the year.
Gretzky was like, I think, 81, 82, something like that.
I didn't write that down, so
Oh,
I'll
good.
assume it's right. But so the next 3 I have a notoriously hard last name to pronounce. I don't know if you think it's hard.
I don't think it's that hard.
So
There's
my
worse.
reasoning with that one was, if anyone see the show Everybody Hates Chris, Terry Crews in the show, he bought Wayne Gretzky jersey, and every time I see that, I laugh so hard. So I was like, I had
Fair
to put that in.
enough.
I love Terry Crews. Next one, at one point, I had the all-time goal and assist record in my sport. I am
Yeah.
considered the GOAT of my sport. So
Yeah.
we're 3 down, but we have 2 more, and then this one's double points. So anything could happen in the latter half of the game. The contract that signed me to the first team I played for was written on a napkin.
Oh wait.
So this is like, you might have seen this in like headlines,
Yeah.
or
I don't remember at all who it is though.
it could be anyone. Any
I think
sport.
it's NBA. I want to say it's NBA.
And I cannot confirm the age of the player when they were. I will just say when they were signed to this team, it was on a napkin.
Maybe it's got to be an international player because they must have done some weird stuff. It's got to be international.
Hi, my name is Luka Doncic.
No.
Doncic? Doncic.
Doncic, my bad.
I'll go off that. Hi, my name is Dirk. Dirk
No.
Nowitzki. I'll say another Mav. Why not?
I'm curious.
I've heard that story before.
I have heard this story before.
It is. I wouldn't say it's a very known story. I think I would say it's a recently. This is a little hint I will give. Wouldn't give away too much. You have heard it more recently because this item was sold at an auction. But it's not like an ultra like, oh my god, the story is known.
I feel like the story might be known, but the player behind it might not be. Like it's like a fun fact, like, this like a random player got signed by this.
It's like similar actually. This is a radio station, so we can reference the music. The Beatles, I'm pretty sure theirs was also on a napkin when they were signed, and then
maybe that's where I'm remembering it from.
What's her name? J.K. Rowling, when she wrote Harry Potter, I think either a lot of the book was on napkins or her contract was also on a napkin.
Interesting.
Very similar stories where I don't know what it is with napkins, probably because you have to sit down in a restaurant and stuff, but like it then makes me think, is it like the thicker napkins, like the one like
I've tried writing on napkins and it doesn't really work that well, so I don't know how they're drafting up entire contracts on napkins.
I don't know, but so
Emma Grace.
You guys have a guess?
Nothing? Guess
I have
someone.
nothing.
Just guess something.
Guess
Jalen Brunson again. Something.
Is there any guesses?
We can't hear you if you're talking. Oh, never mind. They're talking to each other.
They're still collaborating.
We're conversing because I like. We're conversing.
Okay, get Bobby in it.
Bobby wants to join in.
Bobby Chaffordini, come on.
It's a trio at that point.
Yeah, wait, that's not okay. Divide their points by 3 then. They each have 1. Bobby gets 1 point. Emma gets 1 point. Grace gets 1 point. I just got finger wet.
People want to win this. That's the thing. I'm making it competitive.
How does Brendan get 20? Did he get like the triple points and stuff?
He got triples.
Yeah, he got a few triples.
That must be it.
He was on fire.
I'm determined to get the triple 5. Okay,
it's so fun seeing like everyone converse back through. We have no idea what they're saying.
How about Pele?
No, it was not Pele, but I do respect the guess, Bobby.
Good guess.
So we'll go to the next one. Though I am widely considered one of the greatest players of all time at my sport, I am known to mostly walk during matches.
Walk during matches?
Hi,
my name is Barry Bonds.
No.
Dang it.
That's a good one, though.
That was a good guess.
That's what?
During games and matches, this player is known to walk a lot. That could mean many things, though. It can mean
I
many
have another
sports.
guess, and I can't say it.
You are frozen out right now.
No.
So now it's up to Ethan and Emma and Grace.
Sam, can I type it?
You can type it, and then I'll scoot over to look. I can't confirm, deny anything. That's it. Because even
why did I show you then?
Well, I'm just curious.
Oh.
So we have Ethan. If you have a guess, and then Emma and Grace have a guess. But I love that it gets competitive for this. This is how I feel when I watch.
I need
Jeopardy.
you guys to
Do you mind repeating it again? I'm sorry.
Though I am widely considered one of the greatest players of all time at my sport, I am known to mostly walk during matches.
Barry Bonds was a good guess.
That's a great guess.
Like, his contract was definitely not signed on a napkin, though.
You never know. Like, so there's so many random stories.
All right, I'm taking a swing here. It's definitely wrong. My name is Albert Pujols.
No. So Ethan, do you want to answer? You can skip.
That's a good guess.
Really
I'm a skip.
Okay, so for
wait, can I? No, never mind.
So I have to say the question.
You were frozen out.
Number 3, I made my professional debut at the age of 17.
Hi, my name is Messi.
There we go for double
Messi.
points. So that's 6 points to Derek. We'll have him at 11.
Yeah.
So
I got it after I said Barry Bonds.
The moment he flipped over, it's like it's Messi. I was like, oh my god! Like you better pray they don't get some like epiphany back there. Emma looks so stressed right now over this. But
no, because seriously, I was like, let's go strategy here. He's definitely doing a different sport for each question, so it can't be. It can't be like it can't be hockey. It can't be baseball.
And then,
no,
and then you said I think it's baseball.
Yeah, and then I said baseball because of the walk threw me off. But I genuinely think I did actually read this about Messi, so I'm actually really upset.
I'll quickly explain all these because we still have time. We have only one more. The Messi one, he was signed on a napkin, and then I think it was either last year or maybe 2 years, very recently, it was sold at an auction where he was signed to Barcelona. He walks in.
Someone bought it for $1 million.
That's how it went for $1 million.
That's crazy.
Sold an auction in May 2024.
There we go.
Written in blue ink on a 16.5 by 16.5 centimeter napkin.
So
he was 13.
He was 13 when he was signed. So I would say I didn't put this in because I thought it might have been too obvious. I don't know how this is known, but he had a growth deficiency where he would have been stuck at a very short height if not for when he went to Barcelona. I didn't know if that was super
I had no idea.
I had no idea.
So maybe I should have added that. But so then the next one is I'm regarded to be part of the greatest sports debate of all time. I think
Messi, Ronaldo.
Messi, Ronaldo.
I won the World Cup. So we are at the final one. This is triple points. I think everyone's still in it technically, Let me see. Yeah, everyone's still in it. If you get this. This one I had so much fun writing, I won't lie. And I will say this, it is different sport from everything we've heard before.
Okay.
So just to get out the repeat, like, sports. When the Beatles first visited America during the height of Beatlemania, I met with them and greeted them into the country, where John Lennon famously called me a loudmouth.
Okay.
I had a blast researching
So they're
that
old.
one.
They're very
this
old.
one must be very old.
What was Beatlemania, like 60s?
Early
Like,
60s, yeah.
early
So
60s.
Beatlemania would have been 64-ish.
So they had to have been
okay.
popular. So if they were popular, they were probably in either like their early to mid 20s, maybe 30s max. They were probably born in like 40.
I mean, John Lennon was born in.
Well, if he greeted them off the plane, then
No, it wasn't off the plane. It was just generally greet them into the. So they were
okay.
in the country going to record the Ed Sullivan Show, and it was either the day before, maybe the day after. It was right around when they were about to actually record the show. This person met with the Beatles.
Interesting.
It was also meant to
Oh.
be. I'll give this out. It was meant to be like a combining of cultures kind of thing, like the UK bringing over like one of their biggest people, and then for America, I would say this
America.
person isn't very big.
Interesting.
The moment I was researching this, I was like, "Oh my god! Like this person met with the Beatles. I love the Beatles. Like perfect way to segue that."
I don't know if
in.
everyone else is thinking this, but I'm just trying to think of like Super Bowl one, like
That's
very
Super
early
Bowl
NFL.
one.
Like, hi, my name is like Dan Marino.
No.
Like
Damn, no,
that
that's
was
way
like
too early.
I don't know.
That's way too early.
I'm just trying to think of early NFL. I don't know.
Hi, my name is Vince Lombardi.
No. So
That's a good Fordham guess.
That was
Yeah,
my
it is.
guess.
That's a good Fordham guess.
So Emma and Grace, you guys have a guess or no?
That was Grace's guess. What I said, Vince Lombardi.
It was a good one. That is a good one. I could have like snuck in like a little Fordham like.
That would be.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Bobby Chaffardini. He's that old.
I got a guess.
Bobby's
Hi, my
not-
name is John Unitas.
No.
Oh.
That's a
I like
good
the guesses.
one.
These were all good guesses. I will go the next one. Oh, it's still load. I started the sport I played because my bike was stolen. I don't know. This is a super known fact.
His bike was stolen.
Ethan's
Hi,
like,
my name is Reggie Jackson.
no.
I have heard that story before.
So I don't know the full context of it. This is just all I saw was that he apparently started the sport because his bike was stolen. It could mean
Is it not NFL?
I can't.
It's a
confirm
different
it or
sport
Is it
for
not
every
NFL?
question, man.
So yeah,
NFL was like the only thing. We've done basketball with Jalen Brunson. We've done baseball with Judge. We've done soccer with Messi. We've done hockey with Gretzky. So the only big four left is the NFL.
I will say it's not confined to that, but I won't just deny that. It can't be.
Oh yeah,
football.
it could be like a
Yeah.
tennis or something. Well,
See, so this is why I
but
made
he
this
started.
triple.
He
This is
started this
hard.
sport though. So if he started the sport, it had to have been made in the 1900s, in the 20th century.
Yeah, so
and
it
most
was-
sports were created before that, so it has to be football.
It
No,
could- there's a lot of options. It could be.
or like
I'm already out.
NASCAR. Bobby, it's Indy.
He's like, yes. Oh my god.
I have nothing, Grace. If you
Do
want
you
to
want to
skip.
skip this one?
Yeah, go to the next one.
Okay, so we'll go to the next one. So this is still for 9 points. One of the most iconic photos in sports is of me.
Most iconic photos in sports. Interesting.
I think there's a lot of iconic ones.
Hi, my name is John Madden.
No.
There's a lot of iconic
So we'll go.
photos.
Ethan, you still have a guess, and then Emma and Grace have a guess. They look stressed behind.
I'm
the
just
glass, I
still
can't lie.
stuck on football. Like I
So am I.
I don't know. I don't know what else like.
I will say, it like obviously I can't give too much. If you just think like, oh, these are some like iconic sports photos. Like,
Hi, my name is Wilt Chamberlain.
no. So Emma and Grace, you guys have a guess you want to skip?
You got to give a guess. Even though I just skipped the last one. We ignore that. They're
Let's go to the next one.
Okay.
boo.
I won a gold medal in the 1960 Olympics.
1960? That doesn't help me.
I'm getting a strong track vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's many Olympic sports. That's the most I could say. I will say this is, to my knowledge, a summer Olympic sport.
Okay.
To my knowledge, but it's
To
not
my
well
knowledge.
known.
No, not as in that. I'm just not a huge Olympics
Okay.
person. I don't want to misrepresent.
I don't know
So
any
this is
1960
for
medalists.
6 points.
Like, I don't know any medalists at 1960.
Hi, my name is Pele.
No.
I have nothing.
So I'm really surprised. I thought at one point this would have, like, there would have been one of them that click.
The only Olympian I know is, like, Usain Bolt. Like, that's, like, all
I would say this
Simone
person
Biles.
is not, when you think this
They're
person,
not known for-
they're not like, oh, they won an Olympic medal. But the sport they do, it is similar to the sense of the Olympics where I'm trying to, like, very, like,
Dance
give you guys
around
hints.
it.
Yeah, dance around it. Like, the sport that he does, it's similar to the Olympics where, like, you directly win something after. I'm, like, really trying to, like, squeeze
I
around
don't.
this.
I got nothing,
You
Grace.
guys want to skip?
Skip.
So this is the last question. This is for 3 points. I changed my name. I think, like, come on.
Wait. No.
We have around, like, 2.5
2.5
minutes to get this
minutes.
one. I think
So many people.
think of this
changed their name.
person. They changed their name completely. And if it goes, I'll say this, if it goes to, like, within another minute, I'll say their original name.
There's the only players I can think that changed their name is, like, basketball.
I'll say this as a hint. It was for religious reasons. Religious.
Hi, my name is Muhammad Ali.
There we go. Finally, Cassius
Oh,
Clay
wow.
was
No.
his original name. So I'll quickly explain this at the time. So Emma and Grace, you guys get 3 more points. You'll end off with 6. Ethan with 4, but
I
Derek
still won.
going on the leaderboard with 11 points.
Let's go.
So I'll explain this. I'm glad that was a really hard one. I didn't think it was that hard. I did make it triple points for that reason.
I was only thinking, like, Magic Johnson.
So I'll explain these ones. The Beatles, when the Beatles visited America, Muhammad Ali was the one who was there to greet them, like introduce them, like show them stuff, because he was very famous. But also his fight was about to happen. I forgot who it was against.
Interesting.
But that's when John Lennon said that, because he said, "Oh, we just want the loudmouth to lose," because they knew the other person. He started boxing when a spike was so, and I don't fully know why. The iconic sports photo, I'm not gonna, like, reenact it, but yeah, the one of him in the fight where he, like, kind of flexed his arm. He won a gold medal in boxing in 1960, and then he changed his name from Cassius Clay to Muhammad Ali.
Interesting.
There we go. So that was the 3rd edition of Hi, My Name is Derek. You'll be added to the leaderboard.
Yeah, and thank you, Sam. And I think that'll do it for us here on One on One. Special thank you to Sam, of course, for the game show, and Ethan Bess also for joining me today alongside Emma Leonardi and Grace McCarran, making us sound good in the studio and behind the glass, and then also coming in to join us as well. Another thank you to Bobby Chaffardini, our sports director, for not only joining us today on this Saturday afternoon, but also allowing us to talk about the sports we love. Again, I'm Derek Beaulieu saying so long from the Rose Hill studio here in the Bronx, and One on One is a production of WFUV Sports.